Welcome back, guys. This is Arnaldo, aka Mad Dog, and this is The Real, episode 240. GG's the Mouthful Podcast.
Of advice. Let me know. Give me a signal. Throw me a bone here. Let me know that we're starting so I can get prepared. What's my line?
Something, I think it's HH.
Oh, here it is. GG! And scene.
That, ladies and gentlemen, of course, is Mr. David Santos, aka Dream Twister. What is up, sir?
The GG thespian. That's my act. That's my casting couch. No, wait, that's not what I meant.
Whoa.
That is my casting tape. I'm auditioning for the role of the third chair on our podcast, because God knows we need to fill it out at some point. We're gonna have to, so I'm gonna play both. I'm gonna play the second and third, and I'm gonna be having arguments with myself.
So basically, no
like
different from right now. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, that's great. That is awesome. Well, guys, if this is your first time listening, please first go to goodgame.rocks. Join the conversation there. It takes you right to our Facebook group, which we are, I think, pretty close to hitting a milestone in membership. But let me see. I had it up. And
are people finally paying?
The what?
Are people finally paying for our paid subscription?
Yeah, for unpaid subscription, yes. Yeah, we're close to 500 members, which is awesome. So we're almost
It always seems that we get very close, and during the holidays, and then like it stops growing, and then during the holidays it picks up again. I guess everybody's on vacation, and they don't have anything else to do, anything better.
Yeah, exactly. They jump on and then realize, oh, this is all they do. Oh, never mind, and then they leave. So we lose memberships again. It is what it is. It's an ebb and flow, guys, an ebb and flow. But anyway,
that's a great song. Ebb and flow.
Oh, yes.
Arrive like butterfly.
Who sings that?
How it goes? Pearl Jam.
Isn't that that's Pearl Jam. Oh, okay. I was thinking Metallica. I don't know why.
And it's also even flow Metallica.
Yeah.
Metallica is the one that sings, she's only 17. 17. Isn't that right? There you go. That's Metallica, right? There you go.
I don't think so, sir. Yeah, I don't think so.
I think we want our .rock of our domain, because rock is our domain.
Actually, you know what? We definitely should have an episode that we dedicate just to those rock music that we like so much. It's possible. We can do that.
I was going to suggest that we just have like an April Fool's show or something like that, where just out of the blue, without advising anybody, we just have an episode that is about rock music and nothing else. No games, no movies, no nothing. We're just going to talk about the good old days
of rock. Yeah. I think even rock has, you know, I mean, I don't know about you, but today's rap, I'm just not into. I'm not into today's hip hop. Like I was saying, it was who was here? I think it was Matt was here at the house, and we had videos. You know how we occasionally do the YouTube music video thing. We just kind of surf and play music and sit.
Oh yeah, that was fun doing our very own version of pop-up videos where we'll just put a video and we'll just comment on it.
Yeah. So we had so anyway, something came up. I couldn't tell you the name of the artist, but of course Matt looks at me, what do you mean? How do you not know who this person is? And I'm just like, I have reached the point where I am comfortable with the music I like, and I don't have any space for anything, any new crap. You know
I
what I
know,
mean? It's
right?
like I
Yeah,
am good with the music that I'm into. And then at that
yeah,
point we ended up going 90s. What did we do? Was it that wasn't R&B, just 90s music. And then we just let YouTube just keep picking new ones, random ones, you know what I mean?
mhm,
And it
yeah,
was just like, man, dude, it was like 90s had some good freaking music, especially R&B.
yeah.
Like, man, where's that R&B anymore? We don't even hear that shit anymore.
I can tell you about art. I can tell you about any artist of today, any music from any contemporary music. Because
Yeah, I mean,
number one, I don't listen to radio anymore. Because I mean, you don't have to. You have Spotify or your playlist or whatever. I'm already set on the music that I like, and I will listen to the to the same music that I already know that I like. Every now and then, like I have Shazam on my phone, on one of the main the screens, so that if listen to something, and it doesn't have to be contemporary, just be whatever, just something new, so that I can add it to my list of, of music. And I like it. I'll Shazam it, and then like every month I will collect all the Shazams that I had, and okay, I'm let's listen to the song again. Oh yeah, I really like that. I'll buy that particular song, and oh no, I don't know about this one. I'll discard it, and that's how I have a collection of just Sam's. Basically, that's how I consume my music. But I think the last contemporary, quote unquote, contemporary artist that I
mhm.
could think of, that it probably Drake.
Oh
Probably
God,
Drake.
no. Hold on. Oh, nothing from
I don't
Drake.
know anything about like that. This new like. Okay, so they tell me, oh, this famous rapper. Okay, so I'm imagining it's a white dude, and he has his face completely tattooed, and he fucking mumbles everything. That's rap, apparently, nowadays.
Evidently, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know about anything else, because I don't know. It just I feel like I feel like we are all crotchety, old folks
We are. Well, yeah, yeah. We are. I know I am.
set in our
That's what I'm
ways.
saying. I was basically telling Matt right at that moment, like, I don't need whoever this artist is. No, this is oh, it's okay. It wasn't bad or anything like that. But it's like, no,
Yeah.
it's not worthy enough to enter the library of that I have going. I do the same thing for the record.
Yeah.
I have a Shazam kind of attached to where I get notifications, and I just hit it at any point. And then it's linked to my Spotify, so it automatically puts it into a list that I have going in Spotify. And then from there, like you do, occasionally I'll go in and go, okay, let's see where I'm gonna either I'm gonna put this into a playlist I already have going. I'm gonna create a
Uh,
new playlist because it's a little different from the other ones.
yeah.
So yeah, I do very similar. I don't purchase it because I'm just on Spotify. Just it's there. So
Yeah.
um, yeah.
But speaking of old and crotchety, we
Oh
want
God.
to take a very special moment to wish a wonderful, wonderful happy birthday
Oh,
to a person that we love and admire a lot. And that person, of course, is, rapper Jay Z. He is 51 years old today. And yeah, he's 51 years old. So happy birthday, JC. Uh, we wish you the very best. Oh yeah. Also, let's not forget, of course, I'm not gonna forget, bro. Marissa Tomei is 56 years old today.
she's
All
56,
right.
man. She's holding on tight, man. She's very beautiful at
It's
56.
she
Yeah.
is a gorgeous, gorgeous lady. Tyra Banks is 47 today, so happy birthday to Tyra Banks. Uh, and yeah, a bunch of people that we just care and love so much. And anyway, moving
Yeah.
on. So
Hey, actually, on top of that, there is a baby born today. This was, I don't know if he listens to the show. I think he may listen to the show occasionally, and that's Josh. This is my son's friend. He has actually had a baby boy today. Oh, baby girl. Excuse me, baby girl
yay,
today. Excuse me. And so
yay!
yeah, yeah,
Wait a
absolutely. So
minute,
so
isn't today your birthday also?
yes, but we don't talk about that. Let's move on.
Okay, then I guess let's move on. And well, definitely happy birthday, JC.
Well, thank you. No, actually, I've got a lot of a lot of birthday wishes on online. I appreciate everybody. Turning 44 today. Uh, feeling
Turning
like 54
44.
sometimes. Yeah, but
Oh, and
oh,
playing like he was 14. There you go.
yep, exactly,
There you
exactly.
go. Feeling young at heart. That's not a song.
That's not a song.
That is not a song.
Uh, anyway, guys, what we normally do is first we go into what we have been up to, move on into various news items, and then, of course, finish with our hot topic of the week. This week's
This
hot
week
topic:
hot topic.
the streaming wars heat up. And we've actually spoke a
Began
little bit about
because
this.
streaming
Uh,
wars have.
sure.
You just don't care about any Star Wars reference at this point, right?
Nope.
You're like, fuck that shit. Star Wars,
Yeah, I
freaking nerd.
The Mandalorian is out. I have Disney Plus, and probably one of the reasons we even decided to get that was probably I have not watched it. I don't feel like I miss anything. I see all these posts where people are like, "Oh my god, who's that new hero? Oh my god, did you see this? Did you see that Baby Yoda ate bunch of babies and all that?" It's like
Wow.
I don't even care. It's like I am so disconnected from that world, and I am happy. You know what I'm saying? I am content. But anyway, hot topic, streaming wars, of course, would be regarding, well, specifically, uh, HBO Max has sort of upped the ante when it comes to their streaming content, which really, really kind of puts them into a good position to obviously get subscribers. But on top of that, maybe take head on the big Netflix and Disney Plus. So
Yeah.
we'll look into that a little bit later on in the show. So let's start with what we always start with, sir, is what we have been up to and
Oh,
what,
that's right.
sir, have you been doing?
I got my list here. Ready? Ready?
Oh, snap.
It's not long actually. It's only it's only two things. Because I'm just gonna get out of the way the fact that I've been playing. I'm still playing Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, but I'm only taking it as my game to palate cleanse and to just pass one stage and then leave it and then go back to what I've actually been playing non-stop, bro. I'm on vacation. I should preface with saying that I'm on vacation, and all I've been doing actually is playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I know I have spoken about this, already, so I'm not gonna take a lot of time. You all should know by now what Assassin's Creed Valhalla is. Uh, what I would say is, don't discard this particular title just because it's another Ubisoft game and another Ascret game. Because it turns out I'm having a hell of a good time with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I will say I don't know why, but I do know why. It's because the game is fun. The game it's giving me what I need right now. It is an engrossing story. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't expect to. You don't expect to hear that from a Ubisoft game. I'm also noticing that I'm understanding it. Is like I was thinking this morning of, gee, I really really love The Witcher, but if there was something that I was found myself struggling a little bit in, it's just remembering all the names because that game, like, assumes that you're into that lore so much that it throws names and places and locations and lore like you're already deep in it. And if you're already deep in it, you are gonna really have a ball with with the game. And that game is certainly close to perfect. That game is fantastic. Obviously, it's The Witcher 3. I mean, come on. But I do remember having a little bit of a hard time some keeping track of people and places and stuff that happened before, and part of it's just me. It's just the way my mind works. I don't tend to remember a lot of the important little details when I'm playing a game, and then I get it happens a lot with movies also.
Mm.
So it's not, it's not a knock against the game. I'm just saying, hey, the game treats you like a very adult and it's gonna throw all of those things and all that lore, and you just kind of have to juggle it and make it
And
understand.
figure it out.
Yeah. This game uh, does that, but to a much lesser extent. So it's a lot more digestible. I would say the story in itself is a little bit more mainstream. Even though it has the, it's not seeped into the political intrigue of The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
It does have its intrigues on its own, its interesting parts, and it gives them to you almost like I like the fact that it seems to give them to you like there is an overall arching story, obviously, but the things that you have to do are kind of like enclosed, almost like if they were in their own chapter. Let's say, for example, I'm in England now, and I'm growing my my location, the area where I'm at, my settlement. Let's
Yeah.
call
Your
it.
camp,
And
your
your camp,
village. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There you go. Thank you. And I need to start striking some alliances because I'm the new guy, basically. In the middle of in the middle of England, and I'm trying to make a name for our clan, and I'm not gonna say where the story goes to spoil anything. But needless to say, you do have to make some alliances, and then you go to that location. You take care of what you have to do on that location, and it usually is like its own enclosed storyline,
Mm-hmm.
and it is. And so far, playing through the storyline, seeing what happens, it's very satisfying. Like you leave the area and you feel like, man, that was cool. What I did there and what transpired, and I know those are moments that I'm gonna think back. I put I'm close to 50 hours on the game already, and
Wow.
I'm thinking of, oh yeah, I remember when I was in this area and I was helping this person, to become king or whatever, and the story beat of that front was actually pretty cool. Also, another thing that I'm enjoying a lot is the combat has evolve as you're growing your skill tree. You start getting some cool skills that make you feel like a total badass when you're fighting, and that's awesome. Like I think I described this. A lot of people say, oh, the fighting is kind of like Dark Soulish, and I wouldn't say that. Certainly, I can see why it gives you that at the first time, first impression when you get a sword and a shield as your first weapon. But
Mm-hmm.
it's certainly not Dark Souls. It's not that level of difficulty at all. Um, Although there are some boss fights that could be a little bit of a bitch.
Okay.
But it's not like it doesn't have that nuance, that craziness. Yes, it does have a stamina meter, and you want to make sure that you manage it as well as you can. But it's also not super punishing to not have it, unless you're fighting a high level character or whatever. So now that I have gotten some additional skills, I find myself like in the middle of this huge battlefield. There's a lot of people fight. You see the fights everywhere. All my soldier Vikings are fighting. The uh, the Saxons, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you see my character. He's just running, and he jumps in the air. He just stabs one person. He grabs the sword of the fallen foe. He throws it to the other soldier, kind of like the way they show on cinematics. The fight, that the fight they try to show the fights in cinematics. in trailers, and you're thinking like, yeah, that's just a trailer. Come on, But when you pull those off, it is very rewarding, and it feels like you're a total badass. It feels like you're just this total badass Viking,
Right.
kicking ass and raiding churches, and that's another thing. The game doesn't skip away from uh, from obviously, Saxons uh, being a Roman Christian religion. uh, they don't shy away from that at all, which is kind of interesting because I don't tend to see that a lot in games for some reason. I'm not particularly like advocating or anything like that. It's not also I wouldn't necessarily say it's like in any way blasphemous or stuff like that. I think they even the Danes, the Vikings, have alliances with some Saxon allies, and it's kind of like they respect their your god and our gods and whatever. So I mean, remember, it's a Ubisoft game. Of course, they're not gonna
Yeah, they're
go
gonna
like
go
super
all
on the
in on it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But still, it's still kind of cool that they try to portray like oh these people think that Jesus came to this earth as a redeemer, but it's actually he was an educator, and this is like trying to change the narrative, of what we know. And I'm like, wow, okay, it's interesting. You don't see a lot of games doing that, and you have me with the story. I am following this story. I can tell you anything about the modern world, and I don't think it matters.
Mhm.
Honest, on the great scheme of things, that story is like you're so into this world that you completely forget that there is a world outside the animus. And as a matter of fact, I put 45 hours on it, let's say, and I have yet to navigate out of the animus once. Only
Mm.
one time at the very beginning of the game. Before you go in, that's the only time. Everything else has been in the world, which I commend because I don't care about the present. I don't think anybody does at this point. Like Assassin's Creed shouldn't even be about the animals and stuff like that. But whatever, we're not gonna go into that. Um, so yeah, I will. There's a lot of great marquee titles that I missed this year, and because of that, I cannot speak to their game of the yearness.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna let you do that, and I'm not gonna argue against them because obviously I haven't, I didn't play Last of Us 2. I didn't play. I intend to, guys. Stop typing. I intend to. When I get my PS5, I will play the definitive edition of that game. Same thing
Ghost
uh,
of Tsushima.
with Ghost of Tsushima. Yes, I will play that, guys. Relax. I will play the definitive edition when I get my PS5, whenever that ends up happening. But in the meantime, I'm having just way too much fun with this game, and it feels like it's perfect. It's holding me off until Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, because obviously when Cyberpunk comes, but I would even say that who knows, depending on where I'm at, who knows if I might be like, okay, Cyberpunk, that's awesome, you got released, but I'm at the tail end of this. Let me just wrap
Yeah,
it
I
up
might as well
here
finish it
because
off. Yeah.
I might as well, yeah, because it is, dude, it's a blast. It's a blast. I will say, um, I was happy enough with the stuff that they did with Odyssey, but I saw the faults that he have, and this one's for the most part like addresses a lot of those things,
Mhm.
uh, to the point where I would say, yeah, I will highly recommend this game. Even if you haven't played any of the previous Assassin's Creed games, because guess what? It doesn't matter. Right now, the only thing that can take me away from this high is if I finish the game and it does the stupid shit that Odyssey did at the end, which was not give me anything, not even a
Credits.
game over screen or credits or anything like that. Just like, oh, okay, well, you completed the quest, cool. Just roam around the world because we know that's what you want to do, right? You just want to play our game forever and ever and ever. I'm like, no, actually, I want to see this shit wrapped up, because you didn't even wrap up the what happened on the modern world. So when Valhalla starts, it starts you off. It's the same character of the modern world, and it starts you off in a different location. The world is in a different state, but you don't know how you got there because you never wrapped up. You never brought it together. Now, maybe I'm missing something because I didn't play Assassin's Creed Origins. I am tempted to give it a go sometime. Not obviously not immediately because I'm not gonna play three Assassin's Creed games at the same time or in a row. Also Cyberpunk, but uh, I don't care. Like the stuff on the modern world, really, at the end of the day, that's not the reason you're playing these games. This game is for your characters, and for your choices, and to see how things played out. And I gotta tell you, I freaking love my Eivor, my main character. He is just a cool Viking dude. It's a cool Viking, and he's embroiled on a story that it is interesting. It is actually it's fascinating. I'm not gonna say it's like the best story of or anything like that, but it just and you could almost see where it's going, or maybe you think that you know where it's going. I'll let you know if I nailed it or not, but uh, it could it could surprise me. It could surprise me. So yeah, I said I wasn't gonna talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Just fucking buy it and play it. If you have any doubts, and if you see it on a special, definitely grab it. Well, maybe not now because Cyberpunk again. uh, the last game that I've actually just started kind of like finagling with, and this was a game that I was not. It was not on my radar. I wasn't particularly like I didn't knew a lot of it. I just saw that it was out.
Mhm.
It had a little bit of a discount. It wasn't like a deep, deep discount or anything like that. But I always tell you that I'm always looking for that special, very different gameplay system that will grab me and will keep me, for hours. Like I want to have that experience that I have. The one that I can recall right now that comes on the top of my head is Alpha Centauri, a game, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, which was pretty much like a civilization game. Well, it's actually a civilization game, but sci-fi. And the first time I tried that game, I hated it with a passion. I think I even returned it. But then I grabbed it again and played it, and it just became one of my favorite games of all time. Um, and ever since I like when games surprise me like that. So I grabbed this game. It's called Satisfactory, but
Oh.
it's about factories. So the name Satisfactory. The game the game is in early access. I want you to pull this up so you can see
Hmm.
for yourself. It
Already
is
on my
in
way.
early, I think it has been in early access for a while now, and so the build is like it's very solid, very stable, uh, very pretty bug free from the reports, from the reviews or the previews, and from my own experience. Although I didn't play it, I haven't played it as much. I just started playing with it. What is satisfactory? Well, uh, it's a game where it starts you up as this worker from some sort of future corporation. Just think, I don't know, Wayland Yutani, if you know.
Megacorp. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there you go, Megacore. And it's futuristic, and it throws you into this planet, and the idea behind this game is that it sets you up with this machine, and your goal is to, using the resources of the planet, uh, make build a factory, basically. This is a total sandbox game. There isn't like a
Yeah,
campaign or
yeah.
anything like that. It's
Hmm.
just, hey, it kind of reminds me of SimCity and The Sims, those type of games. It's just, hey, you land on the planet, build whatever you want. But you build, oh, Minecraft is another good example. Just build
Hmm.
whatever you want, but uh, you gotta know, you want to know what you're doing, because it's not just about putting up together a factory, but trying to make it as efficient as possible and try to make it even as automated as you can make it. And there's a certain element of pride and enjoyment when you make something like that work. I remember having hours and hours of fun uh, building my cities in SimCity. I just love the SimCity games, and the whole thing with
So this
that
is like,
was
yeah,
just
I'm looking it
building.
over. It looks like a Sim Factory almost, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. But it's actually very well done. It's actually, I would say, for an early access, I was kind of impressed because it's very polished. Like
Oh
it,
no, it's a very good looking game. It's, I mean, it's first person, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
and it looks really really good.
yeah,
For
yeah,
it looks like a very polished um No Man's Sky. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But in first person, and yeah,
yeah,
it looks pretty cool.
yeah.
I don't know if it's the type of game for me, but it definitely looks pretty cool.
It is. It starts you off, by when your character is it's doing planetfall. When they launch you from this capsule, and you're falling down into the to the planet, like dropping into the planet.
Hmm.
You see your place to work. It actually makes it feels like a workshop. It has all the doodads and the things, and the warning posters and all that stuff, and like the detail on it, it's pretty nice. And as you're putting together your factory, it grows and grows. Then at one point you get to be able to construct conveyor belts, and you use
Lots of
them
conveyor
for,
belts. Yeah.
dude. It could be a factory of whatever you want, basically. That is in that, like, it doesn't explain exactly that's the part where I'm saying it doesn't have a campaign. It doesn't have like goals. It's just build something that is cool, that runs efficiently, and then you can keep building and keep making it into like this cybertronic kind of planet if you want to spend hours upon hours upon hours, on it. I've only put probably no more than 4 or 5 hours, and I just started doing the understanding the concept of the automation things, because before, you just land, you have your lander, which you kind of like break up for resources, so you can actually build your first level, like your computer building thing desk, that will ask you for, okay, we need this type of resources. Then you go in, and I have at first I was chipping away with like a with like a hammer, and we're going ting 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 ting, just trying to get to my resources, my hammer and chisel, like taking away parts of material just so that I have enough. Eventually, I was able to have enough materials to construct an automated miner machine. So I'll just take that machine, and I'll just throw it on the place where the resources are, and I turn it on, and it'll just start collecting the things automatic for me. And okay, now I don't have to spend time doing this anymore. I could just go
Mm.
up, about the next portion, and then every time I need resources, I just go back to the machine, just grab it, grab whatever he has, because he collects, let's say, 100 coppers, for example. I grab it, and then it continues on. Eventually, the goal will be to have that automated, so I don't even have to go to the machine where they're at, where they're located, and just have the resources coming in automatically via either conveyor belt or whichever way, uh, and automating those processes and automating processes upon processes, so that eventually I can have like a whole assembly line of whatever I want to build and make. And that kind of aspect is it's really really nice. A lot of attention to detail, like if I'm using the machine to build copper plates, to give you an example, and if I'm using it a lot, you can start seeing the pieces around the machine starting to get red, like okay, it's starting to overheat. I don't know if it actually
Mm.
overheats, like if there's a system where I can break it. I hope not, but it'll be kind of cool if we have something like that. Like, oh, you took it too far. Um, Also, I don't think the game has a system of disasters. Like one of the cool things on a SimCity game was to, once you have your Utopia city built, put together and looks beautiful, just try to send a disaster, an earthquake or a tornado or a freaking Godzilla monster to see how your citizens handle it, and just tear it down. I'm not sure if this has that element. Uh, I know that it has fauna that will fight, that you kind of have to fight against.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and and this game, I think it was originally on early access on the Epic Store, uh, and then it got released on Steam, because the trailer that I saw, like the way it ended, was kind of funny, because it ends available now in the Epic Steam, and it just Steam, like over the Epic Mega over the Epic Store logo, uh, and so I don't know if I think that's what it was. I think this game was originally in the Epic Game Store for like a year probably, and now it's available on Steam, and that's when I saw it, and that's when I just decided to jump on it. But it's
Mm.
really fun. It's actually pretty neat. Uh,
It
putting
looks
stuff
pretty cool.
together.
It looks pretty
It
cool.
doesn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does enough to get you started, but I don't. It's not handholdy. Like you still have to like think and figure it out how you're gonna do things.
Mm.
And it's cool to see what other players have put together. This crazy construction and this huge palaces of assembly line of craziness. Uh, the game has also like it has like a kind of like a charming humor. It doesn't overstates it. It's not like crazy with that, but it's a lot of fun. If you like those type of games, if you were ever curious about Minecraft, let's say, but don't care about much about the aesthetics of it,
Of
I feel
Minecraft, yeah.
like you'll be satisfied with Satisfactory, and it'll give you.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't intend to. I swear. I think you'll be I think you'll be pleased with Satisfactory, and right now it's available on PC. I don't know about console releases. I don't think anytime soon, because, like I said, it's on early access. Usually, they stay on early access on PC, and then depending on how successful it is, it branches out. It's not the only game of its type. There was another game, I forgot what it was called, but it was a similar. Actually, it was a very similar concept. Uh, that had to do with, oh, you're landing on this planet and now you have to build factories, and it was all about that, but it was like a top down view,
Mm-hmm.
and it was cool. It was actually like the reviews were very positive on this one. I mean, on that one. Unfortunately, the name is escaping me. But this one, being an early access game, it doesn't have like a lot of review, like actual reviews, mostly previews. But unless you count the Steam user reviews, which has been overwhelmingly positive. That's what it says. Uh,
Oh wow.
I think that's actually what caught my eye. I was like, what this? So this is overwhelmingly positive, and it has been since it was released. I need to check this out. I
Yeah,
need. I need.
it's been looking at videos. It's been out for over a year at this point. So
Yeah, yeah. I
so yeah,
figured,
and it's
you
still
know,
early access, but it still looks really good.
it looks really. It looks really good. It looks really good. It's actually something that I want to continue playing to see how far do I get my factory. But yeah, that's all I've been doing.
Nice, nice. That's an interesting one there at the end. So I'm actually gonna probably share that video with the group just so they can see it and have something
Yeah,
to yeah.
their trailers
But
are
oh,
fun
cool.
because it shows like other people have done with it, and
Yeah, it looks
it's
funny
kind
too.
of
Yeah,
wild. It's kind of
it sounds
wild.
like almost like one of those training videos from when you work at a factory. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Which is pretty cool.
pretty
That's pretty
much.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, all I have been playing, I started 13 Sentinels,
Oh
Aegis Rim.
yeah.
Yes, this
Oh
little
yeah.
crazy ass freaking title.
I never would have expect. I would never would have expected you to tell me that you were interested in this game, and actually you got me interested because
Well,
it was completely out of my scope. Like I didn't think about it until I started seeing all the positive vibes about it, and I knew I
yeah,
wanted to try it
lots of
out.
positive vibe,
Yeah.
and then on the Game Awards, it was nominated for best narrative, and I was like, whoa, it's
Oh
like, wait a minute
wow.
now. Yeah, that's now that moved it up the list more. So I ended up you ended up finding a sale, and I was like, done. I just got it immediately. I was like, nope, I'm not wasting time. It's the first um it's the first disc game that I've had in a long time because I haven't
Oh my
bought
god.
any disc. Everything's been digital, but because of the sale, I was like, well, fuck it, that's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
because that was one of the games where it was $60 for the longest time, and it wasn't until now with all the the sales and stuff that I saw it at 30, and I called you. It's like, dude, I'm getting it. If you're gonna jump on it, you're gonna. And it's
now's the time.
now or
Yep,
never. Yeah,
yep,
now is the time, and you did.
yep, exactly.
So tell me about it. What's
So what is freaking 13 Sentinels?
Yeah, what is
It's
13?
very difficult to pinpoint the exact genre it is because frankly it includes a lot of different ones. I know I spoke to you about it and I mentioned it being a real-time strategy. And the more I think about it is turn-based, but there is this real-time element where sometimes you just need to let things play out, so you're just literally on hold and it's live, right? The enemies are coming at you, shooting stuff at you, and you just kind of need to let that happen so
Uh-huh.
you can plan your next thing or get a cooldown that you can now use or whatever the case may be. So all right, so I feel like I've started in the middle, so let me start from the beginning. This is a story of these group of kids who inadvertently get the ability to control these giant mechs called Sentinels.
Uh-huh.
And the purpose of these Sentinels are to they were built with a purpose to fight off an invading force of what they've called in the game kaiju. And so
Hmm.
essentially, when you think of Aegis Rim and you just think about it a second, it's like, oh, Pacific Rim. Got it. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Yeah.
Ah,
So
rims,
it's very
kaijus.
similar.
I see.
Yeah. The story is very similar to that. Of course, in the sense that it's robots versus giant other stuff.
Mhm.
So the difference is that the story plays out very similar to a visual novel in essence, you know
Oh,
what I mean?
I was
It
gonna make
doesn't
that
do
joke, and
the
now I'm worried.
yeah, It
Damn.
doesn't do the thing. I mean, you control the characters, or you would normally control the characters in a side-scrolling game because it is side-scrolling.
Mm.
Um, the way the story is told, it is told in bits and pieces, and that's either going to be good or you're just going to not be okay with it. It took me 4 hours to get out of the tutorial, area
Wow.
section. Now you are playing the game, so it's not
Uh,
like it's not like it's a tutorial thing. It has nothing to do with the game. You are
yeah.
still playing the game, but it's teaching you stuff for some time. Now the actual gameplay are the battles. Well, actually, that's half the gameplay because technically you are controlling it during the story portion as well, which is called
Uh,
remembrance. So you have this uh like it's so weird, bro. Like basically, you have this category that you can start the game. Like, if I were to power up the game right now, it would
mm,
have me on the main menu, and it is you select whether you want to go through remembrance, which is going through the actual story. Um,
uh,
and every chapter of the story is somewhere between 12 to 15% of that character's story, and you play a chapter. And it ends, and it'll say to be continued, and you get stuff for completing the chapter. Doing that can suddenly unlock other characters to now have their own story going. You can now jump to them or just continue with the person you're on at the moment.
uh,
You will eventually hit blocks where it says you can't continue the story until you complete whatever it is that you need to complete, which is maybe either another story for another character or a specific battle that you need to play. So that's the story portion is under remembrance. And destruct is where the actual battle gameplay happens. Um, the so before I get to the battle, because that's going to take a moment to explain. So, going back to the story is at first, I'm not going to lie, bro. I'm not going to lie. At first, I was like, oh, I got suckered into some anime bullshit because this is straight up some anime bullshit, And I love anime. Don't get me wrong, but when I say anime bullshit, you know,
yeah.
I would assume you know what I mean with characters who lost their memory.
Oh, okay. The
Let's see.
anime bullshit. Okay.
Yeah, so you have characters who lost their memory. There's time travel involved. There
Oh god.
is experiments. There's a lot going on. And
Okay.
at
We
first I
have
was just like,
children that
oh,
are 100,000 years old also, because that's some anime
not
bullshit.
yet.
Oh,
That is
okay.
some anime bullshit. There's nanomachines because there's
Of
always
course.
nanomachines. Yeah, exactly. And
None of
so
machine.
the it is fully voice acted, which I fucking love. For the record, 100% voice acted.
Are you
The
playing
voice
it?
acting is,
Yeah, I
I
was
mean,
gonna
it's
ask
in
you about
English.
that.
It's I'm playing in English. No, I was like,
Uh,
yeah. You
I was
can
gonna
play it in Japanese for the record, but I am playing it in English.
That's how I intended to
Mostly
play
because as Yeah, mostly because when I'm doing stuff, like not that I'm doing something, when I'm playing and I need to get up real quick, for let's say I just want to go grab something to drink, I can listen to what's going on without having to stop the game, and I could just listen because I am listening. So I'm like, it's a more comfortable way of getting through the game. Now, because of that, obviously you have some voice acting, which is a little bit odd.
it.
Which is, I guess, to be expected when it comes to this. Some of the female characters can be a little bit more high pitched than necessary, but it is
Uh,
what it is. The main characters, though, for the
main
most part, all the main characters are really well thought out characters. When I think of when I'm mentioning the characters that sound a little bit funny, I'm thinking more of the secondary and tertiary characters, where you don't really they're not their story, they're not the main character story, but you kind of run into them and they're part of whatever you're doing.
mm,
Um, it is very involved. And at some point, I kind of realized that yes, I want to know more about what's going on. It
okay,
becomes this thing where
that's a
I
good
wasn't
sign.
sure because I was just like, I enjoyed the actual battle gameplay more at first than I did the actual story. I was like, let me just go battle. You know what I mean? I just do that. And battle portions as well can get blocked to say, oh, you need to complete a certain portion of the story in order to continue these battles. Because the battle is
Mhm,
happening in one specific time,
uh-huh,
and it's like this whole battle. And so, because certain elements, there's still story elements that happen in the during the battle. or at least conversations that happen during the battle, that if you're not to a certain point of the story, it's not gonna make sense to you. So it'll stop and say, no, you need to go back to Remembrance and play some more of the story. So
Remember.
it's a little bit of back and forth on that, which I'm okay with, because I mean, now I am enjoying both segments.
Yeah.
I am enjoying the story. I am at literally the 15-hour mark, literally,
Oh wow.
and I just discovered a character, and I am at 0% of his story. I'm like, fuck, this
Ah.
game is obviously going to be rather lengthy. So I think I have 12 total characters. If there's a 13th, which I assume there would be 13 Sentinels, just like it feels like there would be. I have not met number 13, so 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 who knows when that person rolls around, if they roll around.
You have to
But
unlock.
all right,
You
so
have
that's
to
this.
unlock that character after playing hours upon hours of all the other ones. You have to complete all the other
Maybe
storylines to unlock the
the
13th.
I mean, maybe because there's certain, like, characters don't open, like, there's characters that you meet. Like, I start with one character, which is the main character, or who I consider the main character, Juro.
Mhm.
And the moment you meet him, he runs into a girl, and Iori, and you're like, okay, she obviously is important. And of course, once you finish his prologue, her prologue opens up, and you're like, okay, fine. Now you're at two characters, and there's like this wheel of characters that you can, at some point, you realize when you see the wheel, you go, there's only two here, but there's a lot of space, so
Yeah.
there's clearly going to be more. So at that point, it starts opening up, and those characters that I had that were included within many of these of the other characters, and I thought they were going to just be secondary characters, and suddenly they open up to become a main character, because
Uh,
they also end up being one of the Sentinels, and you didn't know that until you run into that part of the story.
uh,
um, it does jump around in time, so you really need to keep an eye on the year whenever a new story thing pops up, because it will throw some confusion your way, because you're like, wait a minute, what year is this? Wait, what timeline are we on? You know what I mean? And the beauty of it, though, there's a third. I mentioned there's two things, right? There's the battle one, the destruct, the remembrance, which is the story, and then there's the history, or I can't remember what it's called now, but it's a third thing that documents everything you've learned. So it's this timeline that opens up with each piece of the puzzle that you get. So when you forget something, that is immediately accessible to go look at. The same thing happens within the story gameplay inside the remembrance portion, where your main character, the character you're controlling, has this ability to go into this like thought bubble, and there's
uh,
these key phrases that are highlighted. And they're, let's say you haven't been with this character for 3 or 4 hours, and you've kind of forgot where they left off. Well, these key phrases will open up a thing to kind of almost remember. Oh yes, that's who that is. Oh, that's who So you're never really lost. All that information is there for you to kind of quickly get caught up, and you need to.
uh,
So it's well thought out in that sense. Um, all right, so let me just quickly move on to the actual gameplay. Well, again, there is gameplay in there because you are controlling
I,
the characters, but it's
actually,
usually just dialogue.
I was gonna ask you precisely about that because the way, I mean, the way it's getting in my head, it almost sounds like there's a section which is the story, and it's almost pretty much a visual novel. And then there's the separate gameplay, which is actually the battles. But sometimes the battles will force you to go into the story. Is
Yeah.
that how it
Well,
is?
yeah. The battle sections are broken up into waves, right? So let's say you're in area 1, wave 3. So in this
Uh,
particular wave, you beat all the kaiju you can beat, you get a victory, whatever, and now you have the choice to go on to the next wave, or if you want, you can go back to Remembrance and continue some of the story. Occasionally, the next wave is blocked and says you can't go here because you need more story completed. So then you'll go back to the story and start completing some more of the
so
story. And
weird.
same thing happens individual with the individual characters. Like, I
Uh,
have 10 of them open at one point. 2 or 3 of them are locked because they're saying, "Oh, you need to complete Nairobi's whatever mission, and you haven't done that yet. So you can't continue this person's story until you do that." But it makes sense because within the story, they all know each other, but they're not all with each other the entire time. So you know that Juro and Miyoki, they're always together, so their stories are already going to be linked up. So at some point, you want to make sure if you're going into his story, then you're going to be jumping back and forth between his and hers. So
Mm.
you kind of figure that stuff out. It's not impossible to figure out, but it
Still
is the
weird.
strangest. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is easily the strangest game that I've ever played, and one that I'm enjoying way more than I thought I would enjoy. And then the most fun part to me are the battles. So the battle works like this: you don't actually see your sentinel. Your sentinel is uh, uh, maybe a triangular shape within a computer grid of the city, and you
Uh-huh.
control how they move. You also control their weaponry, and you can control up to 6 sentinels at a time. So you'll have 6 sentinels, and then the other ones will be backup. And if one falls for whatever reason, you can get another one of the other sentinels. For the most part, you're only playing with 6 total sentinels at a time in a battle.
Uh-huh.
You can go with less too. You don't have to go with 6. Obviously, that would create more of a challenge, but it's not necessary. Why would you want to do that? First off,
Is it,
you know what I
so
mean?
there's no benefit.
Um,
I was gonna ask. So there's no benefit for going with less.
there is if it's part of the challenge. Like if you go into a specific battle, and it
Mm.
says, "Hey, you'll get extra bonus points by only going with 4 sentinels instead of 6." Then you do that, then you'll get But if it doesn't have that, then there's no point. So the way
Okay.
it works is the enemies will come at you, and they move real time. They do not move turn based. Your
Uh-huh.
characters move turn based when it's your turn, when it's their particular turn. So that's why I say it's kind of a mix, because if none of my characters it's their turn to move, then the
Uh-huh.
entire map is moving on real time. You know what I mean? And
Oh
I'm
wow.
just waiting for a cooldown or something. You know what I mean? Um, so that's okay. So that's basically. I feel like this is getting way more complicated than it needs to be. But basically, you
Oh no, but
control. Uh,
yeah.
there's 4 different types of sentinels. Gen 1, 2, 3, and 4. Gen
Mm.
1s are your brawlers, who get up close and personal to battle. Gen 2 are your more standard. They can do a little bit stuff up front and do stuff from far away. Generation
Mm.
3 are these long range guys that you always want to have, because they can basically shoot from one end of the map to the other, because they're completely made to be long range. And then you have your Gen 4, which are aerial. They're smaller, but they fly anywhere. They don't go on when you look at the map, you see the streets.
Uh-huh.
All your generations, except for Generation 4, have to go with the path of the street to get to where they're going. Gen 4s are flying, so they can go anywhere. They don't have to just follow their own path. And so it's it's a lot of freaking fun, dude. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say, because you're basically setting things up. I try to keep my 6 either into 2 teams of 3, or 3 teams of 2. You know what I mean? And have them out doing what they need to do. I have not scored less than an S rank on battles, except for once when I had an A. The rest of the time it's been S, and I'm playing on normal. So I'm like, either I'm really good at this or this is not very challenging. But it is still a lot of fun. And I'm again 15 hours, so who knows? Maybe at some point I'm going to start seeing some curveballs come my way. But although not that I haven't seen any curveballs, it's just that you kind of figure it out quickly. Like you realize your ground guy, he can't shoot. He doesn't have a lot of guns to shoot up. Your
Uh-huh.
generation 1, so but he does have EMP. So any flying kaiju, you shoot an EMP, they're grounded, and now they all yours to get to fuck them up. You know what I mean? So you start figuring that little things like that out, and the battle just plays really. It's really really a lot of fun, man. It's just so much. Um, I don't know how to explain it, but that's basically what it is. And then of course you can upgrade your. You constantly are getting these uh points to put towards upgrading each of the sentinels,
I was gonna
either
ask
with
you about
new
the points.
weaponry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. You have new weaponry. Then you have, as your characters level up, they start unlocking like a level 5. They unlock like a specific passive thing,
Mm.
specific to that person. Then you have level 10 that unlocks something else.
Uh-huh.
These particular things can be anything from, you know this person will now, I don't know, come in with 30% more damage to ground characters, whatever, you know what I mean? And
Mm,
so those are the type of passive ones where you don't control that, just as your character levels up. As for your sentinel though, you need to pay for the weaponry. You can only put in 6 different weapons, and each
mm,
one uses a specific amount of ability points, if you will. That if you're just doing your ability left and right on a battlefield, you will
uh-huh.
run out quick of it. And the only way to do that is to sit in defense mode to kind of build your ability points back up, or move around. Essentially, if you're as long as you're moving around, you're not actually shooting or doing anything, ability points
Uh-huh.
will start to come back, but they come back slow. And so that's one portion of it. There's actually a menu
Uh-huh.
for upgrading my sentinel that is still locked to me. so, so obviously there's a
After
portion of the game,
15 hours.
15 hours. That's a portion of the game I haven't even got to yet, and it's there. Um, it is really interesting. I really don't know what to say. Obviously I don't want to spoil anything as far as the story, although the story takes so many twists and turns.
Hmm.
Nothing that feels, out of the ordinary. You can almost put together some things, but it presents it to you in a way where you kind of don't always see it coming. When you think about it, it's like, oh, well, this is sci-fi. I guess that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, you weren't expecting that particular type of sci-fi to be included here. Um,
Time
you know, the,
travel. So,
the yeah, it's time travel, and then occasionally there are time loops, and someone's stuck in a time loop, and you're like, how the hell did they get?
uh,
And the way it presents it is really, really, is really interesting. Um,
wow.
anyway, I don't really want to spend too much time on this because it is really extremely a lot of fun. I actually shared like a gameplay video, and I realized I watched it afterwards after I was like, this like tells people nothing. So this is like the biggest waste of a video because it
Yeah.
just does not show you or tell you anything of what's going on. Oh, I'm 15 hours in. I still don't know why. Whenever they transport themselves into the damn Sentinels, they're naked in there. They're
Because
completely naked.
anime bullshit, bro.
I, I guess, but I mean, even the characters pointed out early on,
Uh-huh.
but we never hear why. And I don't know if we ever do, but we never actually hear why. The only thing I can guess, if I had to just think of my whatever, is like, the internals of the Sentinel can't touch anything that's not biological. That's the only thing I can think of. What I'm saying? I guess that's what it is. Because why? Because whenever you transport yourself out of it, which you can do in the middle of a battle, by the way, if
Uh-huh.
your Sentinel's damaged, then you need it to repair. So if you select repair, then your character jumps out of the Sentinel and now is in the streets, and like a small blip in the streets, and the Sentinel's repairing itself. During that time, if some shit's happening around you, you got to get your little guy out of there. You know what I mean? Because he can get killed. So it's just so
Wow.
interesting, bro. It's just so freaking interesting, and yet it's odd. It's strange. I don't even know what the genre would be. I mean, it's like I said, it's not 100% turn based. It's not 100% real time. It's not 100% visual novel, because it's not normally done in the style of a visual novel. Again, you're controlling everything that's happening during the story portion.
Mm.
um you're the one searching and you're doing stuff, so it's not really visual novel. But I don't know, man. It's just, I can see the hook, and I think the hook has me. Will it end up being all that in the bag of chips like some of these people are claiming? I don't know, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I this is another one of those oh god, Kojima's last game. What the hell was it called? Death Stranding.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Um, it's one of those type of things where it's like, I don't know why I'm enjoying this game, but I am,
well, that's
and I
great.
think everybody should play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just the same thing.
That's what that's my philosophy of when I want to try something that is entirely different, that I just want to be surprised and have fun with it. And one of the reasons why I got interested in this game after you told me about it, and I saw videos and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, this definitely looks entirely different from what I'm used to playing, which is the complete opposite of the Ubisoft games that I have been playing, which
That
is
you're
like
more into now, yeah.
entirely like, oh yeah, this is the typical game. I mean, so much that they just released another game, which I was actually looking at, Phoenix Rising,
Yeah.
Phoenix
Phoenix
something.
Rising or something, yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking at, man, that looks really cool. I kind of want to. I'm probably gonna want to, to try that, but I'm almost playing that right now, but with a different
Mm-hmm.
skin. This just like looks like a livelier version of what I'm playing right now. Uh, and it's just that same type of open worldness game where it's sort of expected the stuff that you gotta do, and not here with this. Like I didn't know that it was gonna have a visual novel aspect to it. Now, granted, not a big fan of the visual novels. Even on the games that I've seen that I've heard, highly rated games. Uh, when I start playing it and it's just way too much talky. I don't mind the talky, but when it goes like for pages levels of dialogue, it's like, okay, now you're tricking me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want
Which
to do
this,
that.
if you spend a lot of time in remembrance, which I do a lot of times, because sometimes I just want to get more story.
Mhm.
And so when you spend a lot of time in there, it's like, yes, it can become that. But for me, the line has always been a voice acting, and this is 100% completely voice acted, everything. So I can definitely do that because I'm attentive to what's going on. But if this is something where it wasn't and I had to read everything that's going on, I would have let go of this at hour 10 probably at this point. You know what I mean? So um that's the difference for me. And so I like, and like I said, at any point if it gets too much, then you switch over to this truck because both of them are playing at the same time.
Mhm.
um or not technically in the same timeline, but both of them you can go back and forth at any point. So if
Yeah.
you feel like you've had enough of what's going on, then you switch over to the destruct and just play a few waves of the actual gameplay itself, which the gameplay battles can last anywhere between, you know 10-15 minutes depending. One of them I think took a little bit longer, but that's because it was a big battle, which was a lot of fun because I think it was the only one where I was like, "Ooh, this one is, ooh, I don't know if we're gonna get out of this one well." You know what I mean? Because you can, the sensors can get disabled. I don't think they get destroyed. If it gets destroyed, like if your character dies, and that's it. You have to replay the battle. But
Oh,
if
so game over. The story doesn't continue. You just don't have that character.
no, because correct, no, because the story's already there. That person already exists past and before what's going on. So they
Hmm.
have to live. So but you have to do the wave over essentially.
Gotcha.
Um and I haven't run into that. Like I said, I've scored an S rank, bro, on every battle, except for one, which was an A. You know what I mean? So I'm like, again, I don't know if that has anything to do with just I'm loving the strategy behind it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm loving, placing someone when it's one of the long range guys. Like you can see when a group of kaiju are going to attack a specific spot. So
Uh-huh.
already I have my guys going. I'll have one of my ground guys and a backup flight support guy, and then of course if I'm breaking up into two teams, then one of the long range guys who doesn't go anywhere. He's just covering in that direction. So when the kaiju finally hit, and it's like 50 or something kaiju in that area,
Hmm.
we're just launching whatever we have because I'm already ready for them there. And so, um, it's fun, dude. I won't really dwell anymore on it, but it's a lot of fun. I will let you know how I don't see myself stopping for any reason. Not getting tired of it. I'm actually like that's probably what I'm going to do later on tonight. You know what I mean? So just continue to
Yeah.
play. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, that's
One last question.
yeah, man.
The difficulty level. Is this one of those very punishing strategy games like an XCOM game was, or is
No,
this something
I
where
haven't
you
lost
feel?
once. Like I said, I'm scoring on each of those
I mean, you're
waves,
a
each
god
battle.
when you're a god of gaming, so that's kind of
Well,
expected.
no, that's definitely not the
How
truth.
about how about for us, for for the regular crowd that is
No,
not
I,
you
I
or
I guess
Start.
it would just it would come down to how you attack a particular thing. Like I said, you know what your four generations go. You can
Mm.
only take six with you. So obviously you don't want to do uh you don't want to leave out any particular version of Cento. You want to include one of each one, and then you'll double up on a few of them depending on the case. By the way, they can get tired. You can like if you go from one wave, then you on the next wave you probably don't want to include everybody that you just had because they're kind of tired from the other one, and they
Oh.
can call. And if you go too much in a row, it can cause like mental strife on your character, and they may be out, not even available for a particular battle. So um there's ways of resetting that. If you let it keep adding, then there's a multiplier that happens every time you whatever. It's like a times two because you went two in a row, three if
Uh,
you went three waves in a row without having without recovering, or you could just recover and everybody kind of goes the mental status kind of goes back to zero, but then
uh,
your counter also go back to zero. So
mhm.
I've kind of gone back and forth with it. I think I've gone to three at most and then reset. I'm like, nope, no
uh,
point in, it doesn't do anything to the story. It just resets the multiplier essentially. So,
uh,
um,
sorry. Another question just
yeah,
occurred to me. I own this game. I'm gonna play at some point. I kind of want to know what I'm about to get into. Uh, the oh any customization of your Jaegers, for lack of a better term.
um, well, yes,
Sentinels, sorry.
customization as far as weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, Nothing visual because again, you see your Jaeger,
you're a
you see
bleep.
your Sentinel
Yeah.
in like little side shots. Like if you're in the menu and you're selecting a specific weapon to use, it'll
Uh,
have this little like almost like a preview window
mm,
that kind of shows an anime version of what your Sentinel does. But
cool.
in battle, you don't actually see that because again, it's just a grid. It's
Looking at a
all you're
radar.
really seeing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're looking through the radar. So, but it kind of gives you a gist of what the hell the Sentinel's doing.
Mm,
So you can have as you go through it and you're leveling up, you're unlocking a lot of different weapons. And so you can put in and take out specific ones. So if you have four, I think there's four total right now for flight support. So I
uh-huh.
try to make each of those four as different as possible, but also not too different because I might need one of them and I don't want to have it's one of those things. It's a balance that you have to find. You want to include someone that has, enough firepower to take out a lot of little things. Because those are little bastards are the ones that kind of annoy you after a while.
Yeah.
But if they have this multi missile launch thing that just kind of launches and takes out 30
Like a
in one
swarm,
shot, then yeah,
right?
exact swarms, yeah. And so that's the customization you have. Nothing visual though, unfortunately, because again, you don't ever see it on the field. So why would you make it or give it some coat of paint that you're not going to see anyway? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, just really the weapons that you can use and how he uses it.
Mm,
You can also level up those weapons. So, for instance, it's a particular weapon that's a missile, whatever, and you have a specific range. As you level it up, the range goes further, the damage goes up. All these little things, of course, require um, points that you have to as you earn. So not only do you use those points to unlock the new stuff, but you also use the same points to upgrade those same things. So, but you get a lot of points, and you get the points also through remembrance. So not just battles. I think you get more in battle, but in remembrance you kind of get a lot too. So
okay.
yeah.
Cool.
And so yeah, I mean that's really all I've been playing. I haven't really watched anything new. I did start a book, but I'm only about halfway. So I'll just kind of really quickly talk about it. And that's a book called The Fire Next Time, which is a book by James Baldwin. 1963 is when he released it. James Baldwin, if you guys don't know, he's a famous writer that wrote a lot about the um, struggles of being a black man in America in the 60s, which was before or actually probably right during the peak of the civil rights movement. And he was a big part of that. He was someone who knew Malcolm X, who knew Martin Luther King. So not that they were like the best friends or anything like that, but they kind of all knew each other at the time and realized even though they were different in as far as how they wanted to do things, they knew they were doing it for the same reason. And so
Yeah.
Anyway, the book it's really interesting. It's really interesting because there's so many. He was considered to be a little bit. Um, How do I say? A little bit. Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think of the right word, but someone
Country,
who no, no,
rock and
no, a
roll.
little bit rock and roll. No, he a little bit almost anarchist. You know what I mean? But I'm not anarchist. I'm trying to think of a word similar to that. But basically, someone who just really at some point said the system is fucked up, is never going to get better, and is really at this point nothing that we can do about it. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But doing it in a way, you would never know that by hearing him speak. Because he's a very eloquent speaker. He was someone who did debates at the time and stuff like that. He's just very extremely intelligent guy. And I learned in this book that he was actually a minister early on in his life.
Oh,
Even though in the late part of his life he didn't believe in God. You know, he was
oh
not a
wow.
believer anymore. And he was also gay in his late part of his life.
Oh,
So,
man,
you know, so it was this,
kind of wraps it up.
you know,
Spoiler
so
alert.
yeah, I mean, it's spoiler on history, guys.
Yeah.
So, but this particular portion or this story centers around his early life when he was a minister and even felt that there was a time that he felt that he was doing this sort of as an act, didn't know how to get out of it, didn't know, you know, at some point he realized the lie that he felt there was, because there's a lot of Christianity and Judaism, it's all very wrapped up with white folk, but not necessarily include anybody else. And so he realized that, and that became a thing. And then, of course, around that time is when the Black Panthers are around, and then of course you had your Islamic following early on here in the States, Black Islamic following, and he was he kind of he wasn't into that, but he kind of understood where they're coming from. He's kind of in the mix at the moment.
Mm.
It's extremely fascinating, and I love the way he writes. This is actually one of his first books, but I remember watching watching the movie "I Am Not Your Negro," which I think I mentioned a few weeks back,
Yeah,
and
actually, that's kind of recent.
yeah, and so obviously that was another thing that was written by him, and so the way he speaks of things, it's just fascinating and riveting. It's just one of those things that you go, man, and it's one of the things that he'll say, like there'll be a portion of 2-3 minutes. This is an audiobook for the record, guys. It'll be a 2-3 minute portion of the thing where it's so awesome that I literally rewind it. I want to hear it again. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh man, that was, and so anyway, that's a book, The Fire. Next time, it's not even a long book. I think it's only probably 4 hours long as an audio, so it's a short book.
Okay.
And but it's definitely pretty cool. And that's really, honestly, the only thing. That's all I've been doing. All right, well, we're back, and it is now time for our useless news that you can use.
Well,
And
that's
apparently,
fine. Because
Mr.
there's news.
Yeah, Mr. Dream Twister has a good one. So we're going to start with him, sir. What is your good one?
All right. So check this out. Check this out. This is hot off the presses. All right. Well, by the time that we recorded, or hours before, Oscar Isaac to star as Solid Snake in Sony's Metal Gear Solid movie. How do you like that? How do you like that? Oscar Isaac. Yeah, that is Poe from
Poe
those
Dameron.
Star Wars movies
Yep.
that you didn't care about too much.
True.
From the Unholy trilogy.
Well, to be fair, he's done a lot of other good stuff.
I know.
Inside Llewyn Davis. What's the other one? Next Machina, or Ex Machina, not Next
Yes, it
Machina.
was there.
Ex Machina. Yeah. So
So Sony's long-awaited Metal Gear Solid adaptation looks to have gained some major momentum as sources tell Deadline that Oscar Isaac is attached to play Solid Snake in the film, which is currently in development at Sony Pictures with Jordan Vogt Roberts on the board to direct. I don't know who Jordan Vogt Roberts is. I'll let you
I'll look him up.
fulfill
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, the VOGT, then hyphen Roberts. All right. The film is based on the Metal Gear Solid video game created by Hideo Kojima. So it's not a Hideo Kojima film, I guess. And published by Konami. The script is written by Derek Connolly. Avid Arad is producing. I apologize for mispronouncing these names. Peter Kang is the executive overseeing for the studio. And then it goes into describing what Metal Gear Solid is, because of course this is coming from Deadline, and and it kind of has to like set the tone as to who this person is. Anyway, I'm not gonna
That's a
read
little
the rest.
confusing. It's almost like you don't really know your audience. It's like, guys, we have good news. This guy's starring Metal Gear Solid. And by the way, this is what Metal Gear Solid is.
Metal Gear Solid is actually.
Yeah. Like,
I was actually surprised to hear that a Metal Gear Solid movie was they was in the stages of development. They haven't jumped into production or anything like that. But I'm saying, like, usually you hear a lot of things of, oh, they're gonna make a movie based on this game or that game, and it's usually like it goes nowhere, right? You just hear the idea, like somebody just mentioned it, almost like a, oh, wouldn't it be cool? And somebody overheard in the bathroom of a Sony of a Sony studio, and next thing you know, they're tweeting Kotaku, hey, I just heard there's gonna be a Bubble Bobble remake movie in the works. The Adventures of Lolo is gonna come out next. Shit like that. But this one, not only did I know that it was so close, I also think that unlike their Uncharted movie, I think they actually got a pretty good person for the role. For the role of Solid Snake. Don't you think? Like, what are your thoughts on this selection?
Well, first off, I love Oscar Isaac. I think he is an excellent actor.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I try to picture him. I try to rather picture movies that he has been in that would, because it's one of those things. It's never 100%, and we all know this, right?
Right.
You look at an actor and they're a comedic actor, and then they're suddenly going into a role that's not comedic, and suddenly the first thing you go, oh man, they're out of their element. This is probably not going to be good. That's not always the case. Actually, more often than not, that's not the case. Really good actors are able to,
Yeah,
fit
they
into a
have
role
range.
that they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They should, in essence, have range. And so for him, the one thing I can point to, I can't think of the name of the movie now, but it was a Netflix film, where he was a military guy, not soldier, more spyish. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, he pulled it off. He was pretty believable in that. And so with that, I can say, yeah, I think he can. It all comes down to, you know, everything else. I always say this. The a film is not just the actor, it's not just director, it's not just the writer. It's the
Yeah.
combination of all that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
is that going to be in place? I don't know. So you asked me about the guy. The fuck is his name now? Jordan Buck Roberts. The only thing I know that he directed that I actually was actually good that I know of is Kong Skull Island. Everything else he's been doing mostly on TV.
Oh, Kong. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Skull Island.
he did Kings of the Summer, which was a little bit more. more kid drama. But um, overall, that's the one thing I know about. So I'm like, is that enough? I don't know. That's an action film, you know what I mean? But is that what we want from a solid snake movie? I feel we want more espionage from a solid snake. Like I want, for me, I want my solid snake movie to be more Winter Soldier
Mm,
than your
like
your action film.
superhero romp.
What's the one? Yeah, yeah. Then your Expendables. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want it to be more intrigue, because that's what it is: tactical espionage action. That's exactly what is spelled out on every Metal Gear Solid thing. So it needs to show tactical, like you would at a John Wick type of film. It has should
Yeah.
action like John Wick as well, but it has to have the intrigue. It has to have that espionage. We
Yeah.
have to see a character who is played by someone, and you don't realize until the very end that was Decoy Octopus, and you're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? That's that type of espionage. It's got to have a little Mission Impossible in there too. So
I want my movie to interrupt itself in the middle and say, "Guys, go home now." We're like, "What? Wait, what's happening?" Or credits start rolling, and you're
yes,
like, "No, wait, what happened?"
yes,
And it's Kojima's behind it all. It's like,
yes, dude.
and then you look at your ticket, and your ticket has your name on it, and it was you all along because you had the nano machines.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
exactly. You
That's
see,
what I want.
you get what I
Oh
mean. That's
man,
exactly what I want out of that.
it totally should be something crazy like that. And honestly, I feel like if it's just an action movie and if it's just your typical military romp, I don't think they're gonna do it justice. It can be a typical military romp, and then and here's the Metal Gear, right? You kind of expect. Now, I don't want it to go off the deep end, Kojima, off from the get go. Obviously, this movie, if it pretends that it wants to have a chance of being successful nowadays, I know it needs to tone down the Kojima-ish element a little bit for the masses. You want to strike a balance. Let's put it
No,
this way.
I get you. I
Yeah,
get you.
yeah.
It needs to be more Metal Gear Solid 3 as opposed to Metal Gear Solid
Hey,
4.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, I'll be all up on that because that was a
So would I.
great. Yeah, I'll be all up on. Absolutely,
All upon.
all up on.
Exactly, exactly. All right, good stuff, good stuff. My first piece, guys. Earlier, leaks made it all but official, but Epic Games has officially confirmed the big news. God
Ooh,
of
I
War
get it.
Kratos
Oh,
is the latest character coming, making its way over to Fortnite. If you can, of course, purchase his outfit in the game's item shop. It is based on the iconic look from 2018's game, so actually the more recent uh, Kratos. Kratos outfits can be purchased on its own, and you can also get the Oathbreaker set from the item shop. This set contains a Guardian shield glider along with the Leviathan axe pickaxe. Oh, that sounds actually pretty cool. Complete with the first ever pickaxe emote and Mimir back bling, whatever that means.
Mimir.
Oh, Mimir, the guy with the head, right? Oh,
Yeah.
if you're forgot about that guy. If you play the game, you know who Mimir's severed head is very capable of talking. So anyway, because of the series PlayStation PlayStation exclusivity, PlayStation 5 Fortnite players get the special bonus with Kratos. After you purchase the base outfit and play one match on the system, you will receive an armored Kratos skin. So yeah, there you go. Some
That
Fortnite news, which I didn't think I was going to say, but I figured, it's got Kratos in it. We'll allow it.
I was gonna say, I thought that was gonna be along the lines of, Sony has confirmed it's buying Epic for an undisclosed amount.
Oh my god! It
I'm
would
joking,
happen
I'm
the other
joking.
way around first. I'm just saying.
Wow.
No offense,
Wow.
Sony. No offense.
Wow. Oh man, yeah. There's a little piece of news, bits and pieces here and there. BioWare studio head, a Dragon Age producer, and Dragon Age producer both leave the studio. Casey Hudson is leaving BioWare again. If you guys remember, Casey Hudson had left BioWare some time back, came back uh, for overseeing, Mass Effect and Dragon Age, and now he's leaving again. In a blog post announcing his departure, the creative director of the Mass Effect series and now former studio general manager of BioWare wrote, "I'm incredibly fortunate to have had a career where I've been able to work with brilliantly talented people, create entire worlds from our imaginations, and see them being enjoyed by millions of people around the world. And now, after nearly 20 years of work at BioWare, I've made the decision to retire from the studio and make way for the next generation studio leaders." End quote. Also leaving BioWare is Dragon Age executive producer Mark Dara. And there's a quote that says, "Though I remain confident in BioWare's strength and continued place in this conversation, I have decided to retire from my position at BioWare," he wrote.
Mm.
Casey Hudson first left BioWare in 2014, later joining Microsoft. Then in 2017, he returned to BioWare as the general manager. Mark Dara has been with the company for 23 years, overseeing the Dragon Age series as its executive producer. Development on the new Dragon Age and Mass Effect remasters, and whatever was going on with Anthem will continue, according to Lara Mille?
Croft? Oh, sorry.
Croft now. Chief Studio Officer at Electronic Arts. Christian Daly, formerly of Blizzard Entertainment, will take over for Dara on Dragon Age 4, while Mike Gamble heads the team working on the Mass Effect remaster. So, doesn't sound super great, actually.
No,
You
doesn't.
know, their departures, they, sound amicable enough, and I don't have any particular reasons to think otherwise. But it's kind of odd, and it's another piece of news that I might as well bring here is that we're gonna be seeing Dragon Age 4 at the coming Game Awards on December 10th, and but to have this announcement of this particular, this two main personnel from BioWare just leaving, it doesn't leave you with a lot of confidence about the future of the company in itself, right? Because, and this is the second time Casey Hudson leaves
Mm-hmm.
BioWare. Certainly, they haven't been. I mean, they are not. They haven't been the same BioWare in a really long time. I'm curious to see Dragon Age 4. I almost feel like the announcement of, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have something about BioWare about Dragon Age 4 the Game Awards," instead of just leaving it as a interesting surprise for the Game Awards. It almost feels like trying to divert the narrative a little bit, you know. Uh, so I don't know. It does feel odd. I don't have a lot of confidence unfortunately on Bioware. But I want to see. Yeah, I want to see what they're able to do with Anthem. Not that I have any interest in the game in particular, but at this time, it's more like morbid curiosity to see if this could turn into like a swan song resurrection song, kind of like like Final Fantasy 14
Mm-hmm.
and what's that other one? No
Oh,
Man's
the
Sky.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, of the of the games that we are very, very, very worried when they came out, and then we were very worried when it came out, and then suddenly they were able to turn it around.
I've told you before, I have a vote of zero confidence when it comes to EA. And after, you know what, after that article from Jason Schreier, yeah, after vote of zero
Mm,
confidence in BioWare.
yeah,
BioWare of old, I don't think is there anymore. And I
yeah,
think it's because, you know, they've been EA'd and it's about the bottom line.
yeah,
And, you know, we can't, you know what I mean? Their focus is not on creativity anymore as it is in, you know, units sold and microtransactions, you know, all the other
yeah,
bullshit. So
yeah,
because of that, I'm just, I can't, I want, I mean, nothing would make me happier than to know that Anthem would redeem itself.
yeah.
Um, I just,
True.
the companies that I've seen that did that, Square Enix, realizing that that is their flagship title that they fucked up, and they said no, we're going back to the drawing board. I can see why they would do that.
Yeah,
That is literally the franchise that kept Square open, you know, back when
yeah,
it was just Squaresoft. So you have you have a responsibility to that particular IP. And then with No Man's Sky, you know, a little bit different. It's a new IP, but they're a small company,
mm,
and you were never going to sell another game if you did not make this right.
mm,
You know, and chances are you may not even been hired anywhere. You know, even if Hello Games went away, you know, chances are if you were part of that,
you
you
would.
no one would have hired you. You know what I mean? So it's like the only way out of this is to deliver what we said we're going to deliver. So we're going to buckle down and do that. Those two scenarios are not scenarios I see EA or Bioware
Pulling
doing.
off. Yeah,
Yeah. So they're not in that they're not in that boat. You know, EA has EA Sports, which that alone can just keep them printing money every year. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
That makes it
Um,
enough. They don't
correct.
need. They particularly
And
don't need Bioware.
exactly. So exactly. So I'm saying, so Bioware, if it doesn't deliver, guess what? They will fall the way that, you know, Visceral and everything else fell, which is
Yeah,
what everybody thought was going to happen to Bioware at some point or another. And for Bioware, I don't know where their interests are. I don't know if they have, you know, that desire to go back, because I don't think Anthem was what they wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that was the project they wanted. It got converted halfway, which is why it was half-assed. You
mm,
know what I mean? Because
yeah,
it was like this just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? And I don't think that was the project. So I don't think their heart's in it. You know what I mean? They're more like, well, hey, our jobs are on the line. We have to do this. That's not a reason to make something.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's a reason to keep your job as much as possible, but you know, again, all creativity is lost. So
yeah.
anyway, that's a long way of saying I don't think it's gonna happen. In short,
I don't doubt
I
it.
don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So again, I would love to be wrong for the record, but
yeah.
all right. My next piece, guys. Have you heard of a gentleman by the name of Ryan Hernandez?
Ryan Hernandez. Tell me more.
Come on down. All right. Ryan Hernandez, a 21-year-old California man who hacked into Nintendo's internal network and leaked information about Nintendo Switch before its launch, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison. Hernandez
Oh.
pleaded guilty in January to federal charges related to the hacking incident, as well as
Oh.
possession of child pornography.
Oh.
And
Oh. I got
pornography is
fucked.
not funny for the record. However, the fact that this fool did what how he did it and how he got caught with it is just dumb. It's a California man.
For a hacker.
It might as well have been a Florida man. But anyway, uh, Hernandez
Wow.
charges are related to a 2016 phishing attempt wherein he gained access to Nintendo secrets, including pre release information about the anticipated Nintendo Switch console, according to a news release from the U.S. Attorney from the Western District of Washington. FBI investigators originally contacted Hernandez in October of 2017 about his hacking attempts when he was still a minor. Hernandez promised then he would stop the hacking. Well, He didn't. So Hernandez continued to hack Nintendo servers and leak information that he found there, such as confidential information about various popular video games, gaming consoles, and developer tools, according to the news release. FBI searched his home in 2019 and discovered thousands of private Nintendo files, along with more than 1,000 pieces of child pornography in a file he labeled, quote, bad stuff.
Wow.
You can't,
Wow.
you can't, you can't make this shit up, guys.
That
Anyway,
is, yeah.
it's a piece of news I normally wouldn't include. It's really because of light news week. However, there's no good that comes from hacking.
No,
And if you
fuck no.
if you're already mixed in with a bunch of bad stuff, you probably want to stop. I'm just saying. So anyway, prosecutors in the case recommended 3 years, which is what he got sentenced to. Following his release, Hernandez will be required to complete 7 years of supervised release and to register as a sex offender. Good
Yeah,
job,
dude.
Brian.
Dude, you got it was bad enough already that you were hacking, but yeah. You
Yeah.
got fucked, dude. you, you got actually, if anything, you got blessed that you only got 3 years because holy
Yeah, for
shit.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep talking about assholes, shall we?
Why
Activision
not?
Blizzard. This was kind of funny. Activision Blizzard is suing Netflix uh, over poach executive. Those of you who love corporate beef, here's a whopper. That's the news of that's Kotaku. Kotaku speak. Uh, Activision Blizzard is suing Netflix, as reported by Deadline. Again, Deadline. Wow. Netflix poached a top Activision executive, chief financial officer Spencer Newman, before his contract expired. In response, Activision filed a suit in the Superior Court of California earlier today. Today's Friday. Uh, According to Activision lawyers, Newman started working at the Call of Duty factory in 2017. I love they call it the Call of Duty factory. Yeah, might as well be. Um, with his contract set to lapse in April of this year. The game publishers retain the right to extend that by one further year also. Netflix wooed him in late 2018, a job lasting merely a year and a half. Jesus, a job lasting merely a year and a half job might be a corporate faux pas and might be an eyebrow raiser
Hmm.
in the LinkedIn page, but it's the contract violation that serves as the bedrock to today's complaint. Uh, Activision is asking for a permanent injunction, basically a court order that says you can't do this anymore against Netflix, barring the streaming service from hiring Activision employees who may have fixed term employment agreements. Activision is also asking for punitive damages, which is basically lawyers speak for a lot of bills. That's me
Well,
saying
yeah. Hmm.
that. Activision isn't just apparently pissed about about Newman though. Scrolling through the complaint, uh, you can, I mean, you'll see some language complete with a thinly veiled irrit- irritation that Netflix is making apparent inroads into the video game space following Newman's 2018 onboarding. Activision lawyers stress that Netflix attended E3 in 2019 and hosted a panel called Bringing Your Favorite Shows to Life, Developing Netflix Original into Video Games. Uh, dude, I'm going to start reading because I don't know what fuck Kotaku is smoking at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing is, just to say, the Activision suing Blizzard. Sorry, Activision suing Netflix. Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard is the worst name. Anyway, um, suing Netflix. It's, I don't know. It's kind of funny for a slow week. So there you go.
Good, yeah. Good luck, Activision. That's all
Corporates
I'm
are
saying.
fighting
Yeah, yeah. They're
today at
fighting
11.
over multi-billion-dollar companies are fighting over some million-dollar dispute that both of
Yeah.
them will, either one who wins will not even see a major change in their life, in the life of the
No.
company. But
Yeah.
all right, I have two small ones here that I wanted to lump together. First and foremost is Doom Eternal
Oh.
is going to be launching on the Nintendo Switch this December. Doom Eternal is
Oh.
launching on Nintendo Switch on December 8th. That is 4 days from today, or two, depending on what day you listen to this. After originally launching on the Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Google Stadia earlier this year, confirming earlier rumors to Doom Eternal will not be launching with a physical edition as previously planned, with retailers now only supplying customers with the eShop download code. According to Bethesda, the game will require just over 18 gigabytes of space on the Nintendo Switch. Doom Eternal launches with the original single player campaign and battle mode multiplayer on Nintendo's console, but the first part of its Ancient Gods story DLC will only be coming sometime in 2021. But this says it will communicate a firm date when it has one. And
Wow.
then the second little game announcement date news. Temtem. You know Temtem.
10.
Yeah,
That's a
Temtem.
Pokemon.
The
That's the
Pokemon
Pokemon thing.
wannabe. Yeah.
A
Or better
Pokemon
be.
wannabe.
Or better than be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Temtem has been available in early access on PC for some time, but it's making its way to console next week on the PlayStation 5. Available in its
What?
pre-launch state, the game hits on December 8th, also for PlayStation 5. What is Temtem? Well, it's definitely heavily inspired by Pokemon and other creature collecting games.
Dude,
Uh,
heavily is an understatement. I don't know how this thing hasn't been shut down by Nintendo. I honestly don't understand.
I mean, unless well, there is something. What was the other one? It was Pokemon, and then there was
Digimon.
Digimon, yeah.
Yeah.
Digimon isn't getting. I mean, saying the Pocket Monster type thing is
No, I
not
know.
owned
Yeah.
by Nintendo. You know
No,
what I mean?
well,
So yeah,
you also, the litigious nature of Nintendo. When you look at the gameplay of this, you're like, ooh, okay,
I'm
maybe
sure.
Digimon didn't,
Yeah,
but
I'm sure
you know,
I'm sure their attorneys looked into it, going, guys, I need you to look at this. Is there anything that they're using that
yeah.
we
Can we?
own? You know what I mean? Yeah,
Is there
yeah.
anything that sticks? And they're
Yeah.
like, it's closed, but no cigar.
Exactly. It's going to be a waste of $1 million
Yeah.
if you try to do it. So 1010 is expected to come to other major consoles and go full launch in 2021, for the record.
Boom. I heard nothing but good things about it. I've gotten curious, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm not into the
In the end,
Pocket
it's still
Monster
Pokemon.
thing. Yeah. Mostly because I'm an adult. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The Video Game Awards. The
Yes,
festival.
that's next
Yeah,
week.
that's it. Yeah, Video Game Award. No. They will provide playable demos. And that I thought was awesome. You will once again be able to try some unreleased titles thanks to the Game Awards. Uh, let's see. Talking to Twitter, show organizer Jeff Keighley said that the game festival was returning, providing playable first look demos for upcoming games. This originally debuted at the last year's show. 12 demos were made available on Steam for a 48-hour period. This time around, it looks like players on a variety of platforms, PC, console, mobile, and mixed reality, will be able to take part in this event. This is on top of the Games Awards sale, which will be running across PC and console. Uncharted actor Tom Holland is going to be making an appearance at this year's Game Awards, as will Pearl Jam frontman Eddie Vedder. Holy shit! Really? We were just
Damn.
talking about that
Okay.
before the show. Pearl Jam's gonna be there. Holy shit! Now I'm excited. There's also going to be the same mix of trailers, first looks, and reveals that the award show has become to be known. Oh, and of course, there are gonna be some awards too. And Dragon Age 4 is gonna be there also. But yeah, no, this reminds me of uh, the E3s of yore, where you will be able to see, not just see the games on the on the on the on the press releases, because you weren't, I wasn't in attendance, obviously. But they will release them also. They will release demos that you can just download right there and then to play, and that was awesome. And I'm glad that I didn't particularly know. I guess I might have not been paying much attention last year when this happened. Uh, but I'll definitely be paying attention now. And it's also cool that they're bringing it to consoles and other mediums. So yeah,
Yeah,
demos,
for sure.
bro,
Demos.
demos.
A thing of the past comes to the present.
Yeah,
What?
thank you, Jeff
Nice.
Keighley. You're the
I
best thing that
know.
happened to
Thank you,
video game.
Uncle Jeff.
Thank you, Uncle Jeff.
All right, my last piece kind of ties into the hot topic, but not exactly. But I'm just going to throw it here, and that is Wonder Woman 1984. We all know already that it will come to the streaming service HBO Max on Christmas Day. Well, 1984 will also be the first film on the streaming service to offer 4K resolution and HDR color, according to Patty Jenkins via Twitter this past Tuesday. In addition to 4K and basic HDR, which is the HDR10 format, HBO Max will offer Wonder Woman in higher fidelity Dolby Vision HDR format, along with the object-based surround audio format Dolby Atmos, which adds high channels to the typical 5.1 or 7.1 speaker setup. This will bring HBO Max in line, finally, with Amazon Video, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, Netflix as streaming library services that support 4K, HDR10, Dolby Vision, and Dolby Atmos.
Yeah,
I
buddy.
am looking so forward to that film, for the record.
Yeah.
I watched the first Wonder Woman again probably about a week ago, because it's on HBO Max, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's watch this, and threw it on, and let me tell you, man, I'm still not a fan of the ending itself. It got a little bombastic in the end when it didn't feel that way throughout the film, but overall, a solid movie, man, and I really enjoy Wonder Woman's character, what she brought, the actress, I can't remember her name now, but what she brought to the role, and overall Patty Jenkins, direction in it. It was really, really a good film. And so seeing that everyone involved is again involved with 1984, I am very excited. And I've seen the trailer before. I hadn't seen it recently, any new ones recently, but just the original trailer and seeing how just really 80s it is, I'm so down. Just like so down. And then to know I'm going to be able to watch this on Christmas Day, and now HBO Max is, as they say here, finally coming to terms, because hey, Prime has had 4K for some time. Netflix has had 4K for some time. So it's about time, HBO, that you step up and deliver the goods.
Yeah, indeed. I'm excited to look at this and the upcoming releases, but we're gonna be talking about that for the next segment. So
for sure.
Yeah. So stick around, guys. We'll be right back with the hot topic.
Hot topic. I didn't realize we were ending. I didn't know if you had another piece. We're back, guys, and it is time for our hot topic of the week.
Hot topic! Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all you get. I
That is
can't be louder because people are I'm gonna pierce eardrums and I'm gonna be kicked out of my own house because I'm making noise at 11:59 p.m. on a Friday night.
on a Friday. But it's Friday night. Come on now. That's
Friday
that's allowed.
night
It should be allowed.
for some people.
Hot topic again, guys. Streaming wars heat up. So backstory. Kind of had it in the post, but just in case you didn't read it, as you all know, Netflix, essentially like king of streaming services when it comes to movie and TV. They have, I mean, they own the corner of that. And there was actually a post that I wanted to bring up that Giovanni actually posted, and it was the Netflix experience. No, it was the Netflix frack. I'm not gonna find it now, but anyway, what it is the Netflix reaction, or I don't know. But the point is
the Netflix effect.
the Netflix effect. That's the one.
Shit,
The Netflix
yeah.
effect. Yeah.
I think I saw it. I didn't know what you were talking about until I remember the posting. So yeah, the Netflix effect, which is basically, it. Well, you'll explain it better. Go ahead.
Essentially, how big Netflix is by the reaction to whatever it is that they release. And the most recent one would be the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
And in the release of it, which is a one season show, not meant to be anything bigger than anything else, not meant to be more than that, just one season essentially. It's based off a novel from like 30 some odd years ago. This show by itself, because of how many millions of viewers it had, reinvigorated the book Queen's Gambit, which now became a bestseller after 30 years being available. It made people interested in chess. It was the most Googled thing, you know what I mean, during that time. And there's a couple other things, right? I can't because I don't have it in front of me, but a couple of things that basically led to. But it tells the story of how big Netflix is within the households. Like we heard, right? We heard a lot of people saying they were boycotting because of that show, which had with young girls dancing and all this stuff. I can't think of the name of the show, but Cuties, I think that's what it's called. But people were like, they're losing numbers left and right and blah 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 blah, and here they are breaking records with the Queen's Gambit. So clearly, no one left. It was all bullshit. Okay, because here they are, and not only that, like I said, it has that effect in everything. That book is now getting recognition, way more recognition than anything it ever had before. It's reinvigorated the game of chess in general, and
the
so much
chess skyrocketed because of it.
Yeah. So that's how big Netflix is, right? So when Disney Plus hit was coming, right? I think we all were like, ooh, it's coming, Disney Plus. They're gonna pull all their stuff and make it only available on their end, and blah 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 blah. And for the most part, they did. Some of the deals still got locked in. Netflix actually still has some of Marvel stuff, but little by little, it's moving over to Disney. Which, hey, that's great for Disney. But at the same time, we've all kind of watched all that at least twice. You know what I mean? So, I think Disney Plus, they're entering the streaming market. I feel like at the time we felt it was going to be a bigger splash than it actually is. They have a lot of content,
all the properties, because of all the Yeah, exactly. And all the hoopla about Disney's gonna have its own programming. They own Marvel, they own Star Wars, they own all of this. The whole vault of
Disney films, yeah,
Disney films and stuff, yeah. But I guess, and obviously there are ABC, their own ABC.
So all ABC's content. They have some ESPN content as well. They have, I think, for me personally, the thing that they had that made me go back to them each time was Hamilton. That was the just the oh shit, I gotta watch this the day it comes out. The day it came out, I think I watched it twice, and I'm not even joking. I've probably watched it more, close to 100 times at this point. So that was it for me. Mandalorian, I enjoyed it when it first came out. Nothing to really write home about. I personally, some people swear by it, but other than that, not really a lot else. Not nothing that for me would make me jump over to that and let go of Netflix. You know what I mean? Letting go of Netflix was never an option. You know what I'm saying?
It was never. Yeah, it was never gonna be on the cards.
Exactly. And so now we have I guess a third major, right? Because you can think of Hulu. Hulu's never really been a huge competitor, and being owned by Disney, it doesn't really matter. Amazon Prime is probably another competitor, but I don't think it reaches what Netflix can and has done. I think the only difference with Amazon is that you can see anything on video on demand with them, but obviously for a fee. But with Prime stuff, not so much. So, but yeah, so HBO Max finally comes in, and this is from the most recent news piece regarding it. Let me get into I had the article up. I'm sorry.
You might be underselling Prime Video. Prime Video, actually, they certainly have a big cut. I think the last number, according to Wikipedia, was 150 million paid subscribers. Yeah, that that is certainly big. I was trying to look for what Netflix numbers were.
I don't think they share their numbers.
Tally. Yeah, I guess you're right. I
don't think they share their numbers.
So
on purpose, they don't do it because they don't need to. That's why you don't know, because they'll say, "Oh, these many people tuned in to view." It's like, well, yeah, but these many people out of how many? We don't know, because they won't share how many subscribers they have. So, and they don't have to. It's just the way it is. But I wasn't trying to undersell it, for the record. They do have some good original content.
They do have good original content.
I'm trying to think of that one that we've watched together. The stand-up comedian.
The wonderful
Marvelous Miss
Maisel.
Yes, great. And that's actually Emmy winning, if I'm not mistaken, show. So definitely kudos to that. As far as films, they have some hits and misses, but then again, so does Netflix, right? So
that's arguably, like, honestly, at this point, I can't think of a household that doesn't have, like, I see those two more than anything as the two pillars, Netflix and Amazon, and I will even say Amazon probably, or very very probably, because of all the other goodies that you get along with their I mean, it was all about, to me, it was all about the free shipping and the Amazon thing, not necessarily about the video. The video was a nice extra that just
like a perk.
Somehow became, it was a perk that became a household item now, because they have had, and they do have some good original programming, actually, when you think about it. And then there is the recent challenger was Disney Plus, but Disney Plus is like a behemoth, I don't
know if I guess it is. I just so I look, for the record, guys, when I look at this stuff, I'm looking at this stuff from the bubble of which I live in. What is it? Where is it that I'm consuming my content for the most part? I do actually use Amazon a lot, but you know what I use Amazon a lot for? To actually rent or purchase movies, or watch my purchase movies. You know what I mean? Those are the three movies that are on Prime, or shows that are Prime outside of Misfit. Very rarely, even though they're there. You know what I mean? Not none of them, but a lot of them don't see.
I forgot what it was called.
The Boys. Yes. The Boys. Well, I haven't seen season 2, which has been out now for a while. But yeah, Yeah. But yes, that's another one. I think those are the two really. I remember the uh I don't remember what it was called, but anyway, the point is that it's just for some reason I don't always include it. But you're right, you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
That's another major pillar. If anything, it is those two that would be holding up the entire streaming market in general.
Mhm.
And then Disney Plus came in to try to either become the third pillar or become a bigger of the pillars
Mhm.
because it
Yeah.
did pull its content away from everyone else. But
That's valid.
HBO, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I was just saying that, and that is valuable content. When you think about it,
For sure.
I think that the 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 content around Disney has more fan fervor
Hmm.
than the content of a Netflix or an HBO or a Prime or whatever you bring at. Just because of that fandom, they
I
have.
think, yeah, I think Netflix. Well, they won't admit this, but I think Netflix has subscribers that come off and go on, come off and go. They're like, well,
Mm,
we're not seeing anything in the next few months, so we'll go ahead and let the subscription
abs-
go,
uh-uh.
and we'll jump back on when. And it's so easy to get on and off. You know what I mean? Your stuff
Mm,
is already saved there. All you got to do is pay for the month. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I can they probably do that more often than anything else. Prime doesn't go anywhere because I pay Prime for the year.
Yeah.
So and again because of the shipping, that's why I use it for.
Yeah.
Disney Plus is easy. It's $7. You may even forget you're paying for it. You know what I mean? And
True.
and they probably that's probably what they're banking on.
Kudos for pricing it appropriately. I think if anything,
I agree.
they, I mean, you know that as they bring more content, more original content, and let's not kid ourselves, they have the power to do so. And they have been in talk about it already. That price will go. You will see the hike to $11 and then to 13 and then to like Netflix has been doing little by little. Uh, but right now, as a nascent streaming service with only one flagship series, basically, uh, under the belt, which is The Mandalorian. Yeah, I think pricing it at $7 was a good move because he makes it think like that, like you said, it's it's not a big deal,
Not a big
an
buy-in. Yeah.
easy entry, yeah,
Hmm.
no
Yeah.
barrier of
For sure.
entry.
For sure. Uh, so yeah, moving on into the new challenger, and new in the sense that they seem to be making big moves to even become a challenger because HBO, for the record, is the challenger we're referring to, and they've been around for quite some time. Obviously, they've been around since the cable
Sí,
days, and HBO Now and HBO. What was it? Go, I
go.
think was the other one. Yeah. So they've had all those things, but HBO Max, when that first got released earlier this year, is the first HBO product where you realize, whoa, these guys are actually doing something similar to the other services
Mhm.
by having original content and having stuff on their end that like they have the DC universe. They have the Studio Ghibli. They have all this it's weird stuff that you're like, oh, that's odd. I didn't realize it was there, but hey, it's there.
Mhm.
So now, on Thursday, this past Thursday, Warner Brothers Pictures Group announced that the company's complete 2021 slate of films will arrive via a new hybrid release model. Based on the broad announcement, movies slated for the upcoming year will hit theaters worldwide, while also receiving a simultaneous 1 month streaming run exclusively on HBO Max. In November, Warner Brothers announced a similar strategy for Wonder Woman 1984. The film will debut on Christmas Day on US theaters and on HBO Max. Uh, so, real quick, just run through what their major 2021 slate of films are for Warner Brothers.
Mhm.
A lot of these I've never heard of, so skip through them. But first one is called The Little Things. Then it's Judas and the Black Messiah, Tom and Jerry movie. Then you
Oh,
have Godzilla versus Kong.
oh
That's an
yes,
interesting one.
that's still
The
happening.
That is still happening. The Mortal Kombat movie. Those, yeah, I know, I hear you. Those who wish me,
Mortal Kombat. Sorry.
yeah. The
Had to.
Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And then you have In the Heights, which personally I'm extremely
In the
excited
Heights.
for.
Yes, I want to see that.
Space Jam: A New Legacy, The Suicide Squad, yeah,
Oh wow. Okay.
Reminiscence, yeah, Malignant, Dune, another one where I'm like,
Oh yeah.
okay, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'm
The
totally
Many
down for
Saints of Newark, King Richard, Cry Macho, and then finally The Matrix 4. That's their slate for 2021, and those will be available for a 1 month period in the US on HBO Max. Sir,
that.
what do you think of this unprecedented move by a major movie company?
Well, I would say that uh this move, it's almost the aligning of certain aspects that allowed this to happen, and what I mean by that is we all know that um, movie theaters right now are going through a really, really, really rough because of the pandemic. Obviously, movie studios are kind of like in a little bit of a panic mode. Like, okay, what do we do? We have obviously the productions of these movies are made with the mindset of putting them in the theater and recouping some of the
The
investment
cost. Yeah, yeah.
there, the cost, yeah, and then the rest through video and streaming. That will be like secondary and stuff, or not secondary in the sense of importance, but I mean secondary in the order of things.
Hmm.
Uh, and now people aren't going to movie theaters, obviously, for obvious reasons. Another the so that was the first element, right? But that's not difficult to come up with.
Yeah.
The
To
other element,
understand. Mhm.
yeah, to understand, yeah. The other element that people might not be aware of is the fact that HBO Max, even with its name recognition and its programming, it it's not really doing very well. As a matter of fact, and I was reading on this at the launch. It wasn't really hitting the numbers that they were expecting, that they were hoping. They say they have somewhere along the lines of about eight 8.5 million subscribers as of September,
That's not a lot.
and that's not, yeah, exactly, that's not a lot, and this is them giving giving the service for free in a lot of scenarios. I get that
Hmm.
service as part of my uh, agreement with AT&T for my gigabit connection for my internet. And you have heard about the offers, whether with with cell phone companies or the likes. I think it's mostly AT&T actually, because they are part of that. They are
The
part of
partners,
that
yeah.
whole. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. Um, but you see, even with that, they're not hitting the numbers that they were hoping. They have shows, they have arena shows, but they lost a big marquee show that a lot of people were tuning, and that a lot of people
Hmm.
will subscribe to just for that show, which was Game of Thrones.
Yep.
I don't believe now, after people have heard about how disappointing it ended and all that, and after the negative vibe after the end, the last season, that is really pulling people towards the service. And as a matter of fact, they have a lot of people that qualify to get the service for free that haven't even activated it. Whether it's because they don't know that they have the opportunity of, or they just don't care. They're content with what they receive from Netflix and
What they're used to. Yep.
what they use exactly. So those two together, it actually opens up the opportunity for, maybe HBO had the conversation with Warner Brother or vice versa, and they say like, okay, well, let's do this. What is a way that we can reach a number of viewers? They make money whether you're subscribing, and they have they have a, or the idea is that they will have an arrangement, or they have an arrangement already, where a portion of the revenue that they will get, they actually obviously will have to share with with Warner Brothers, um, and they have the exclusivity, at least streaming exclusivity, of those theater, movie theater movies. That could actually get some people to realize, hey, this is not, this is a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall. Again, I don't pay for it directly. Um, I don't know what the HBO Max
It's
sus-
$15.
15.
Mm-hmm.
That's for, right now. If they want to justify that price point, they have to offer crazy things like that, crazy deals like that. And I think it's wonderful that we get the opportunity to see Wonder Woman 1984 on December, and that we're gonna get to see a lot of other movies that would have only been released on movie theaters. Now we're gonna have this hybrid approach. I don't think that's permanent, though, mind you. I think this is just why the number stabilizes, and while they get what we things get quote unquote back to normal,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
back to
not
the
illegal
whole
to go
norm.
to movie theaters again.
Yeah.
uh, but at least for a year, yeah, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense for them to go that route. I think it's great.
So yeah, it's interesting. As far as the deals go by, I'm looking over, and Warner Media, which is the conglomerate, they actually own HBO.
Yeah,
So this is kind of all in house anyway. So it's
yeah,
about, hey, you know, what service do we have? How do we get this to people? What do we need to do?
yeah.
Um, I think first and foremost, I think Wonder Woman will be the first, probably of many spikes that they'll have. I think you're right. The problem with HBO is most people don't have HBO, or don't
Mm,
know that they have HBO, or they're getting it for free. Um, I paid for HBO now, and just by being a member, it converted automatically to Max.
mhm.
The other ones essentially are going away, or they're all just becoming the one thing. And so I, while I don't think that 2022 is going to have the same thing like 2021, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
the slate
Oh
of
God.
films. I don't think that that's going to happen. I agree. But I do think that this is going to have a lasting effect on how movies in general will be consumed. I don't think theaters are not going anywhere, and I think that's the first thing a lot of people have to just kind of realize: theaters are not going anywhere. you know
Right.
um Everyone's going to want a theater experience, and there's going to be plenty of people who are going, or plenty of companies that are going to be able to provide that theater experience. However, will the multiplexes of the past with 20 screens, will those be the thing? No, that I can see that not happening. Those were already uh losing a lot of money. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Just before COVID, you know what I mean? So the question before COVID was, do they reduce? What do they do? How do they survive? Now COVID's here. Now, like, well, I guess they're gone. But smaller theaters and stuff will easily. I'm sure that they will continue.
Mm,
But I agree that I think this is only for 2021, and I think it is to. I think this is going to work in their favor,
mm.
because $15 is, it's a standard for a service such as this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm paying for Netflix. I'm paying, and apparently it's going up. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so And I'm like, whatever. It's fine, you know. It's like it is this. It's, you know, I'm getting what I paid for anyway, so I'm not concerned about that. But it's, I think it's the going rate, and I think with this lineup, plus everything else that HBO Max bring, I personally am watching HBO Max more than anything else right now. The last
Oh,
thing I saw on Netflix was Queen's Gambit. I have not seen anything on Netflix since. I have Hulu, and I could not tell you the last thing I saw on Hulu. I have Prime, and the only thing I've watched on at the Amazon Prime service is the films I already own because I wanted to rewatch them. You know what I mean? Um, I haven't really watched anything new. On the other hand, with Max, I'm just consistently going in and finding these gems, and I'm just, yep,
mhm.
we're watching this today. Yep. And so I don't know if it's because it's the new thing on the block. You know what I mean? It's just a new service, and that's why I'm just, you know, head over heels for it. But I think personally, with what they're bringing, if they can get more people in, and I think Wonder Woman will be the test, right? The first test,
Yeah,
because if they can get a good bump in
and subscriptions.
subscriptions,
Yeah,
and you know, from word of mouth, people are gonna go, hey, guess what? You know, Wonder Woman's here. It's no, you don't have to go to the theater. You can just watch it on HBO Max. And guess what? They also have, they have A, B, C, and D, and E, F. You know, whatever
yeah.
those are. You know, and so through word of mouth, I think it can happen. Well, I don't think you, again, just by going, if Disney Plus couldn't topple Netflix, Netflix is not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Prime is not going anywhere, and you know what? Neither is Disney for that record. You know, so I think you have another pillar coming in. I think it's developing into another service that we're gonna want.
It
You know
it
what I
it,
mean?
it could be, but it definitely it's gonna need to jumpstart the subscriber lineup because these companies, I mean, even Netflix right now, I don't know how this is possible, but they're operating at a loss. And they have been operating at a loss for quite some time. Why? Not because they're not making the money, but because they're making the money and they're like reinvesting it
Mm-hmm.
immediately on new content,
Yep.
which is great because that that's what we want. The problem that I feel like Disney Plus is having right now, is that people watch The Mandalorian, people watch Hamilton, maybe they saw Mulan, and then they're like, okay, what now?
What else is
Like,
there? Yeah, yeah,
what am I?
yeah. I
Why am I
agree.
paying just to get access to the vault? If I like the idea, see, it's like it, it's the idea of I like the idea of having access to all these movies, all these classics, but I'm never gonna sit down and put them. It's almost like a collection that you don't own.
Yeah, you're paying
Just
for, but
you're paying
you
for it.
never own for. You never actually own it. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I also think some of the pricing on this streaming services, I mean, they're understandable. They're offering. I'm not saying that they don't offer the value that they charge. I think Disney Plus is smart in charging, $7.
Oh, for
Basically, they
sure.
have the
Because
price for the
yeah,
content
yeah.
for what we're getting, and then eventually, when they can actually produce more uh, engrossing content,
Their
they can.
laurels, they're resting on their laurels, right? They're resting, hey, we have right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think I checked it very recently, all of the Marvel 22, right?
Mhm.
Everything leading up to and including Endgame, um, has transitioned back to Disney. So now it's all on Disney. So you can sit there and watch the entire Infinity War saga
Yeah,
on Disney, which is awesome. But that's
yeah.
22 films, and who's really going to be able to do that? You
Hey, that's
have,
okay because you can watch DC on HBO. So there you go.
true, but who's going to do that? But you
There we go.
you you have they also have Star Wars, which I'm not going down that Star Wars road, but hey, there's people who, and they have all of them now. All of them are back in their thing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of want to revisit Rogue One because I feel
Yeah.
Rogue One may actually be one of those standouts that when you
Yeah.
look at it versus everything else, it's probably one of the most excellent Star Wars films.
Yeah. Well, we
And I know
really
I've said this
wanted him to be. So Rogue One is basically the Halo ODST of Halo.
okay. I wish I knew
I
what that
don't,
meant, but
I know
okay.
that doesn't make sense to you because you're not a Halo player, but of all the Halos that have been released, and we've had the good trilogy and we have had the bad incomplete trilogy, which it didn't finish. But we've also had the complete offshoot, which was like its own separate story in itself, which ended up being excellent. Like people were expecting it to be out this offshoot little thing, and it ended up being something special in itself. So that's what
There
I
you
mean
go.
when I say
Yeah.
that.
Well,
That's
yeah. Yeah, I
so
can definitely agree with that. And so, with those two major things, I mean, you have stuff to always come back to, and you have people who revisit that stuff. So I get that, but it's the new stuff that keep people coming back. And let me tell you, I just said, I'm watching HBO Max mostly nowadays, and Netflix. I'm in and out, and the last thing I did was Gambit, Queen's Gambit. Disney Plus is another one where I'm like, I haven't watched anything on Disney Plus for easily 2 months, and the last thing that was guess what, Hamilton. You know what I mean? So that was the last thing I saw there, and I haven't seen it since. And what does that say? You know what I mean? At some point, and yet here we are still paying for it. Right? I mean, can you?
$57. It's not a hard hit. It
It's
doesn't feel
not a
like
hard hit.
a yeah.
It's a smart play to be at that price, and I wonder if Disney actually planned that. Going, you know what, we're going to be strapped for content early on, so you know what, we being this mega corporation can take the hit and do $7.
Yeah. Oh,
And
even better.
hey, we'll bundle and because you can do, because we actually have the bundle which includes ESPN and Hulu,
Uh,
um which I think is like $13 for three. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like, that's like insane.
That.
Um,
Because Hulu
but
has its own programming, right? Hulu has its own programming also.
it
Uh,
does, it does. Which I
yeah.
actually have a list. Believe it or not, I have lists everywhere, but I have a list there too of stuff that they have, and I'm like, oh, I'll get to that stuff. But Hulu's always just like the stepchild that I don't even look at half the time. It's like I don't even pay attention to see what the hell they have
You
available.
just came in with Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna pay attention.
Exactly. Exactly. You're not even prime material.
It's not prime material. Oh, bendito.
Oh yeah. But no, going back to HBO for the record, I think that this was a needed move and a very smart move. And it comes at a time that it kind of makes sense. It's not like you can't go to the theater to see it because they are releasing it in the theater.
Mhm.
But theaters have been barren, just barren. People who go into the theater, they literally have the theater to themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, that is so cool. I wish I could fucking do it.
That
Um,
sounds cool, but that's totally the opposite of what all the movie industry wants right now.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, and,
Yeah.
and they're finding themselves in this situation. I
Tenet,
think
Tenet
Tenet,
was
yes,
another one that took a huge hit. And
yeah.
here it is. It's coming to video on demand soon. I think this month, if I'm not
I would
mistaken.
expect it to do a lot better on
Oh, for
video on
sure.
demand over
Yeah,
here.
for
Yeah,
sure. That's another
yeah,
one that's high on the list to watch, because I love Christopher Nolan. But the reality is that this pandemic has made it completely difficult for any of them to. So it only makes sense. At some point, you got to start making money because you
yeah,
can't just hold on to this stuff. And I don't see Warner Brothers being the only one. I feel like Paramount, and I feel like Columbia, maybe even Sony Pictures, and Sony Pictures may just say, what the fuck, we have a fucking device in people's homes. Let's just start
mhm,
releasing movies there. You know what I mean? What the
yeah.
hell?
Let's make it.
Um,
Let's make it the service. Yeah,
yeah,
they're all. I mean, they kind of have they don't have a service for movies, but they kind of have the infrastructure where it wouldn't be too difficult maybe for them to spin a service
You
out.
can buy, yeah, you can buy movies on PSN. So it is
Yeah,
possible
just have it
to
rent.
be yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
I think that you're right. There is certainly this HBO's move, uh, Warner Brothers move, or both of them move.
both, yeah.
It 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 sets a precedent on how we can consume this. I like I said, I still feel like it might be something temporary, uh, considering that, let's say things go back to normal. You know that a movie that you release in the movie theater, you get the money from there, and then you get the money from the streaming rights, right? So,
Mhm.
are you by just going streaming, like it wouldn't be streaming only, but by offering that option, you will be cannibalizing on your movie theater, on your movie revenues, on your movie theater showing revenue, and and also taking the hit on the streaming services, because guess what? It's already out. It's already available. You can't make it a double dip situation anymore. And that's why I feel like, yes, this is the patch that they're using right now because of the pandemic, because they don't have a choice. But unless what they do is what frigging Disney ended up doing with Mulan, which is, oh yeah, okay, you can stream it at home, $30. Give me $30 to stream it at home, or treat it like a
It's
pay-per-view event.
yeah.
Uh, and even in those cases, they can stand to lose money because you set your house with a lot of people, and that's a lot of people that won't be going to the movie theater.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. And honestly, that's the thing that I've said. I think the days of the $1 billion films
Mm.
are long gone. And will they ever come back? I don't think that they will, because the problem with this, yes, this may be a patch, but it's also setting an expectation.
Mhm.
And if you go a year providing these films and then you suddenly go, hey, we're going to charge for 2022 films, you can still go to the theater, but if you want to watch it at home, it's going to be $30. You know,
Yeah,
you know what you do at that point? You lose subscribers. You know what I mean? Maybe they do go
yeah,
to the theater. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just wait for it to come to one of the other services.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think it's opening a door that is not going to close. It may, it may adjust. We're outside the pandemic and all this stuff, whatever. It may adjust, and some things go here, some things go to the theater. But now that that door's open, it's not closing. It's not
Mhm.
going to close, and more things are going to be coming immediately or shortly thereafter. Really shortly of that. What took months to come to video to home streaming services
Yeah.
will take a week. Hey, we're going to release in the theater, and next week it'll be available at home. And for those people who love the theater experience, because there are many, I'm one of them. Um, I can tell you right now, if the pandemic is over and they start showing Tenet in the theater, I'm gonna go to the
Mhm.
theater to watch it, because that's a movie you want to see in the theater. It's made for the theater experience.
Yeah, yeah,
Dune. That's I want to see that in a theater with a theater
yeah,
experience. So and you have many people like that. Are those people going to be, that many to make it so that people are watching these movies in the theater like they used to be before with their $2 billion end game? No, that's it's done. It's done. That's not happening anymore. We're not seeing the $1 billion thing anymore. I'm telling you, I am positive of that. It's going to be spread out into a bunch of different ways to consume it. We already knew this was happening. More and
yeah,
more people were just not going to the theater because it's like, well, just watch this shit at home. And now you've been forced to live at home for a year. You know, it's just and oh, by the way, in 2021, you still don't have to go anywhere, even if COVID's gone by April. Doesn't matter. Warner
I
Brother
don't know.
films
I
are going to
feel
be
like
available at home.
at that point, people are gonna be dying to just go have the movie theater experience just because they didn't have it for an entire year. You know,
Perhaps
if anything, it could be like a almost like this is me. Like, my expectation is that if anything, it's gonna be like a almost like a resurrection of the movie theaters. I'm not saying that companies that have gone for broke already they're gonna come back from the dead, but I'm saying that the demand is gonna be there for movie theaters just because you said it. Some people are just not gonna be happy with just
being home.
viewing that movie on the at home, and especially if they haven't gone to the movie theater in quite some time, and they find themselves with the option of, well, do I pay the same amount to watch it at home, or do I pay an amount to have it at the movie theater, have the whole movie theater experience, make it an outing. Most
Yeah.
people will go for the outing. Yes, you're gonna have your few that will stay at home, and it'll become more enticing if instead of having to pay movie ticket prices, but to watch it at home, you get to you get to see the movies for free on with your paid subscription to whatever
Whatever
you know
service, yeah.
service you have. Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
be
that
curious.
would be
'Cause I have,
something else.
yeah, I'm going to be curious to see who else goes down that line. What other
Disney
major
could,
company?
but I feel like Disney's too.
Disney could, but the problem with Disney is now. So Disney could, and at
Mm,
$7 a month, you kind of go, well, I can see why you would charge $20-$30 for the movie because like you're not making
yeah,
that
at
up
that
in your
point,
in
yeah,
your
exactly.
subscription. I don't know if the Disney has high expectations with their stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and guess what? Mulan did not live up to those expectations on video on demand or in the theater. Because it actually came to the theater really quick for early showings,
Uh,
like back in February and shit, and then then it came to this, which I paid the $30 for, and I can tell you right now it was not worth the $30.
mhm.
Although it was visually beautiful, the movie itself sucked. But I don't know. I don't know if Disney will do it. I feel like Disney will be the holdout. I feel like other companies will link
Yeah.
up with another service of some sort. Fucking I don't know. Universal Studios will link up with I don't know. Maybe Netflix. maybe Prime. You know what I mean? And say, hey, we want to get these out. Help us to distribute this. We're going to do this many of the slate that we have that's backed up at this point because so many movies just get pushed back and back and back and back. Now they're just sitting there costing these companies money every day
Yeah.
because they're not making
Yeah.
that money back. So I feel like they're going to link up, and I feel Disney will be the last holdout. Disney will finally go after a few of them start going this way. They're going to go, all right, fine. I guess we'll have
Yeah.
to do this. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think. But yeah, man.
Yeah. It'll be
Interesting stuff.
it'll be interesting to see how it develop for now. I think it's the best solution that HBO could come up with at this moment is to offer those movies that I think. I mean, this is easy for me to say because again, not directly paying for HBO Max, but if you were already paying for HBO Max, uh, I think this deal sounds nothing short of,
It's
of
great. Yeah.
freaking amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
For the consumer, it's wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And you can still talk it too because your
It's almost movie
subscription is
faster.
being subsidized by something else that you're paying for. So
Yeah,
it's not like it's not literally like you're getting free. You had
no,
to have
exactly.
did
No,
something. Yeah, yeah. So it's still a good thing for you. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of an awesome episode 240 of GG's a Mouthful podcast. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. As always, please go to goodgame.rocks. Join the conversation there. And of course, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with everyone. This is Mad Dog signing off this week. Simply saying the good night.
It was too simple. You couldn't come up with it.
Honestly, I was gonna go into. Before we started this segment, I kind of went on a rant about current
Events.
political climate and all this stuff. Yeah. So I was like, I was going to have something to throw in here, and then I realized I kind of blew my load before the show. so now I have nothing. So it's just good night, guys.
Leaving you with all the disappointment of someone that blew their load too early.
Pretty
that
much.
was my speaking.
Yeah. Hey, 44 guys today. It's a common problem between middle-aged men, so I'm told. So.
Oh my god! I certainly I don't have anything that I can actually top that with. So I'm just gonna make a random commentary because I mostly forgot to mention it sooner on the show. I've been, that I bought an Xbox One, an Xbox Series controller.
Yeah.
Not the so the gamepad, and I've been using it for the first time I used it. I found it felt kind of rough to grab it. I certainly wasn't expecting the grippiness on the back. I think I mentioned it. It almost felt like you were holding Velcro. Not as bad, but it was kind of like, ooh, it's kind of rough. This is gonna leave some calluses if I keep playing with it. That's what it reminds me.
To this, yeah, I don't understand.
Like grabbing a dumbbell, and you know how it has that that grapey area where you're supposed to grab it from. Yeah, that's what it felt.
Yeah.
So, but I've been playing a lot with it, and I gotta say, I haven't tried a PlayStation 5, so this is not a noggin anyway, because I honestly have no idea how it feels, but this Xbox controller feels fucking fantastic. I love playing with this thing. It just feels so good in the hand. It's and to think about, not a lot changed. The D-pad is like the best thing I have ever D-pad with. But aside from that, everything else is where you expect it to be. But that creepiness on the back, like every time I grab it to play, it just feels like, oh yeah, this is next gen. I don't know. I just needed to say something about it because it felt good. It's definitely a very good replacement if you're playing on PC and you have and you still have the Xbox One controller. Excuse me, which is also a good controller. Bluetooth. It's Bluetooth, so you don't need a special adapter or crap unless you don't have Bluetooth on your computer. That's it. That is all.
That is all. All right, guys. Well, then in that case, we'll see you next week.